jury will not be sequestered.
I'm Brian Buckmeyer along with Terry Austin.
In the Weinstein case, fellow silence breakers and any
Election is moving along
Well,
here.
I'll read the verdict, says the Jesse Weber. Thanks for joining us.
We don't tend to see it as raw as this.
Good evening and welcome.
Welcome back to the Long Crimes for the Record. My name is Bob Bianchi. I'll be taking it to 3 o'clock. We are doing Chandler Halderson, the murder case of his parents. He is accused of not only murdering them, but dismembering them. Initially being charged with the charge of filing a false missing persons report that he had put in. But later, authorities indicate that he is the person who actually murdered his parents and therefore is charged with first-degree intentional homicide, false information to police officers, mutilating and hiding a corpse. Obviously, a very serious case. We are also told here that Chandler Halderson's father's remains of Bart Halderson were actually found on the property of Chandler's girlfriend's mother. So that is going to be an interesting, powerful fact for the prosecution in the case. On the stand right now is Crescent Lai. She is the partner of the defendant's girlfriend's mom. Let's go live to court.
Yes.
Ms. Raymond, if you want to show that to the jury as you walk back towards the Elmo.
Bless you.
And exhibit 72. Let's see if I get that to be a little better. That's just the close-up of the same.
Yes.
And then I actually will publish 73 and 74. So did the police then in October, after you found the gun, come and retrieve the gun?
Yes.
And in July, when Chandler was on your farm, did you have your barn or your shed locked at all?
No.
No further questions.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Good morning.
Hi.
Picking up where you just left off, do you ever lock or close up that shed or barn?
I haven't for some years. When I used to go to Florida in the winter, I would close it and lock it, but I haven't been there for a while. So, no.
And is it fair to say that before you got the garbage bin and did the major cleaning of the shed, you didn't know exactly every item that was in there, right?
No, not every single item, no.
And you testified that there was a delay in getting the garbage bin and cleaning out that shed because the police were there for a while.
That's correct.
How long were they there in possession of your property or on your property?
Whew, seemed like forever. A couple of weeks at least, maybe longer.
And they had closed off that area to you?
Yes, they got kind of upset every time I come up with a lawnmower because I couldn't even mow my lawn, and it was frustrating. So, but they pretty much kept me by my house. They didn't really want me anywhere around.
And was it your understanding that they were searching that area at that time?
Yeah, they were searching my whole property. They served me with a warrant.
Now, moving back in time a little bit to 4th of July weekend, I think I heard you testified that Chandler Halderson was not acting like himself. Is that right?
That's correct.
And it was for that observation that you and Dulce might have thought, oh, is he doing some drugs? Is that right?
Yeah, it was a question because we couldn't figure out why he seemed a little off.
And you had never seen him like that before, right?
No.
And normally he's sort of a quiet, nerdy kid, right?
Yeah, that's a good description.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
May Ms. Lasai be excused at this time,
She's excused.
but not released?
Correct.
That means that you're still under the subpoena with which you've been served, so you can't discuss your testimony with anyone, but you're excused unless recalled by the state at any time. You can stay in touch with them. Thank you very much.
All right, thank
Have
you.
a good rest of your day.
The state calls Brent Baberstock to the stand.
Yep.
Okay, speedballing through these witnesses. We have Andrew Scott with us and Janine Atamian, trial attorneys. Great to have you on the show, guys. Atamian, let me start with you. I'm sorry, Janine, let me start with you. What do you feel is the reason the defense has so few questions of these witnesses? Are they trying to drive to a specific point that he's a nerdy kid and a quiet kid and therefore not capable of doing this, or is there some other strategy in your mind?
Well, the defense has basically put out there that he is a normal kid and they're trying to get that out, but they've chosen not to cross-examine certain witnesses. And basically they've said that the prosecution has to make their case and they can't make their case. They've basically said that at the end of this, we're not going to know who did it, that they can't prove this. With regard to this particular witness, though, I thought it was interesting for them to flush out that he hadn't been acting himself, that he, they maybe thought he was on drugs or something like that. Because, at least he was showing something that weekend, that was going on when his parents were gone. So it remains to be seen. They're not doing a lot of cross, but again, they kind of have let it out there that they think that the prosecution can't prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. So we'll see.
Yeah, Janine. I mean, that's something that's definitely, sometimes if you stand well, stand still. Don't ask questions where you can get caught up if it doesn't assist your defense. Could be the strategy here. New witness on the stand. Let's go live to court.
Alerted her to believe that we needed to follow up with a in-person interview. So she came to my office and asked me to sit in on that interview because we try to interview people, with at least 2 detectives there to support each other.
Sure. And was that with Dulce?
That was with Dulce, correct.
And just briefly, if you could describe Dulce's kind of emotional state during some of that interview.
Well, we got to the location where we agreed to interview her, which is she was in the middle of some classes, trying to improve her education. And we sat in a side little conference room, and she was emotionally distraught. She kind of had this look of fear and panic in her eyes.
Okay. Now, they've testified, so we're not going to talk much about that interview. But at some point, do you end up going to a farm that you thought might have been visited by Chandler Halderson over the 4th of July weekend and leading into the next week?
Yeah, based upon our interviews with them, we determined we needed to get out to that farm right away and search it.
Sure. I think it's been described as being near Cottage Grove, but kind of in a rural area of Dane County. That sound fair to you?
Yes.
The entire location of that farm, is that here in Dane County, Wisconsin?
Yes, it is.
And it fairly remote?
Yeah.
Had you ever been there before?
No.
If you could describe the farm, just in general, to us.
Sure. Well, it's probably 30 to 40 acres. A lot of it is wooded. The house sits in a wooded area. There's a paved driveway that goes up from the road that kind of turns off to where the house is. And then if you kept going straight on that, it would turn into a gravel, and then up into the grassy area would be where like the back shed was, and the pool and the raspberries.
Did you personally yourself walk out there with Cress or Dulce or anybody?
Yes, I did.
Who was with you?
Well, I had first gone there, responded out there pretty quickly. There were a lot of red flags that popped up during my interview with Crescent, and I called to the command post, to Detective Sims, and I talked to her, and I'm like, I need some more people. We need to get out here. We need to search this place right away. But we were pretty stretched thin at that point. We had sent a team up to, a team was headed up to the cabin to do some more investigation up there. I'm like, we need some more people. We need to get out there and search it. So she was able to provide at least another detective, Detective Tim Blank, along with me and Detective Liz Allen. And then while I was on the way, I contacted Barry Ehrman from the Dane County Medical Examiner's Office and asked him to respond with his cadaver dog to help us do the search.
Sure.
I got there and nobody was there. I had expected Cress and Dulce to beat me there. I went to the house, knocked on the door, and nobody answered. And I got worried that they maybe went up and started searching on their own. So I went up there. I went up into the grassy area. Like you can see, you have a photo of the farm there. So I could see whether or not anybody was back by there. And, you know, I noticed, you know, during my contact with Cress, she did talk that she had recently seen vultures circling over the property.
Your Honor, I'm going to object as hearsay.
Sure.
Sustained.
Did you yourself at some point see some birds over the woods?
Yes.
And what were those birds?
Turkey vultures.
And did that raise red flags to you?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
You know, most birds really don't have a sense of smell except for turkey vultures. Turkey vultures actually, you know, when a body or an animal or creature dies, it starts going through some changes. The microorganisms on there start producing different gases, and it emanates an odor. Turkey vultures can smell that, and when they do, they'll start circling the area to locate where it's coming from.
And were those turkey vultures over the wooded area at the farm?
When I got there, yeah.
Okay. Did you find Cress and Dulce as you walked back there?
Eventually, I walked up there, I didn't see them, and then Cress came out of the back sliding patio door and met me. And then I asked her if she could show me again where she had seen Chandler back by the woods. And we walked back up to the area of the shed, and she showed me.
When you say she showed you, did she point physically?
Yeah, she did.
All right. And so what I'm going to have you do, and because she's already testified, you can't say what she said, but you saw her point at a location?
Yes.
Can you please stand up for 1 second and point on that map to the location that Cress pointed out to you as where she saw Chandler?
Sure.
Thank you.
Well, I asked her to tell me exactly where she had seen the vehicle parked. We walked up and came over to this area. She said the vehicle was parked in this area. And then she said that when she first saw Chandler coming out of...
Your Honor, objection, hearsay again.
I'm sorry, I missed the part of the objection.
It was hearsay.
Hearsay again about what someone told him.
Sustained.
And maybe I'll ask a better question. When she physically herself pointed at a location where she saw Chandler coming out of the woods, where was that location?
Well, we were standing right about here.
Okay.
She pointed back towards this direction.
Okay, physically put her hand up and pointed?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You can take a seat.
Do you want to describe that for the record, counsel?
I will. I would say that the witness just pointed toward the wood line, approximately a foot below that barn, where the barn is. Counsel's nodding in agreement, so I think that's fair to say. At that point, what did you do?
Well, my partners hadn't arrived yet, so I asked for Cress to go back and wait in the house, and I told her that my partners would be here soon and we'd start doing our search. We returned back to the driveway, and Detective Blank and Detective Allen had arrived shortly thereafter, and then we went back up to that area and we started looking around.
So I'm going to ask you what you saw first. When you got down to that area, all these, I'll pause for a second. I apologize for maybe being sporadic there. All of these vehicles in the photograph, those are related to law enforcement and the investigation, correct?
Correct.
There were not a bunch of vehicles parked out there when you were there?
No.
Were there any vehicles parked out there other than law enforcement vehicles?
There's one vehicle parked inside the shed, but not visible, I think, from that photograph.
Understood. As you got over toward, let's say, that junk pile before the grass gets longer there, did you see any signs that a car had been over there?
Yes.
What did you see?
Well, Detective Blank pointed it out first. He pointed over and he said, well, looks like cars driven through the tall grass over here. I'm like, yeah, it does. So we went over there and we saw there were 2 tracks of the taller grass. The grass is probably about, waist high. You can see the 2 track marks that go back along the parallel with the wood line there.
Okay. And at that point or shortly thereafter, you and other detectives began maybe searching a little bit closer into where those tire tracks went?
Yeah, we began to follow them. They went back probably about to an area where there were some some white wooden boxes that are old beehives. They're just kind of stored along the tree line.
And that's before you entered the woods, correct?
That's before I entered the woods.
Okay, so we're gonna pause there, and I'm gonna have you look at a couple of exhibits first, so we're all on the same page. Exhibits 75 through 81. Just page through those and give me just, in general, what am I looking at there?
Okay. 75 is the driveway entrance for the residents to the farm.
Okay. You can keep going.
Okay. 76 is just going up further along the driveway. You can see it starts to split at the end there. This little angle to the right here goes towards the house, and the one that continues straight on is
all right, Detective, speaking about the case again, witnesses going very quickly, very little cross-examination in this case. Let's see if the defense has something up their sleeve with why they're handling the case in this manner. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
I'm Dr. Lakeisha Simmons. 4 years ago, I was a single mom and I was living paycheck to paycheck. That's when I downloaded the free Personal Capital app, and it changed my financial future. I linked all of my accounts and I instantly saw where I stood. I was able to track my budgets and spending and see how that affected my net worth. Now I use the retirement planner and I monitor my entire portfolio. 4 years later, my nest egg has grown and I'm ready to retire.
Download the free app or go to personalcapital.com today.
It's okay to be curious. Curious about that person you met online. Is this someone I actually want to meet? I've swiped right. What's next? Come to Been Verified to help find love that's real. Been Verified. Be curious.
Publishers Clearinghouse winners are real.
No kidding!
You could be next.
February 28th, win $5,000 a week for your life. Then after that, someone you choose gets $5,000 a week for their life.
$5,000 a week forever. Enter now at PCH.com.
Welcome to Law and Crime. Thanks for joining us here on our continued live coverage of the Derek Chauvin trial.
You don't get in the car. Mama.
The trial of Robert Durst.
I am not trying to figure out anything.
The Kyle Rittenhouse trial.
I never wanted to shoot Mr. Rose in the mouth.
I didn't want to hurt anybody.
I'm Dan Abrams.
I'm Terry Austin.
I'm Brian Buckmeyer.
I'm Brian Ross.
I'm Jesse Weber,
and you're watching
Law and Crime.
The bladder control aisle. You won't shop here again. Your private business is your own. The constant struggle is over. Now there's a better way. It's HDIS. We home deliver bladder control products. We understand how you feel. For over 25 years, we've home delivered to many of the 20 million Americans who deal with incontinence. We offer all brands. We pay shipping and use plain, unmarked boxes. If we can help you or someone you care for, call for your free product sample pack and $45 in money-saving coupons. Our counselors will help you choose the right product. And unlike stores, we're always in stock. You'll get what you need. Satisfaction guaranteed. HDIS. The better way.
For your free sample pack with your free catalog, $45 in money-saving coupons, and free product samples, call 1-800-890-8461. That's 1-800-890-8461.
Attention! Repeated use of talcum-based products for feminine hygiene has been linked to ovarian cancer. If you or a loved one used talcum-based products such as baby powder and have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Call the Dampier Law Firm today for a free consultation. Their team of co-counsel attorneys represent thousands injured by defective products. Pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call the Dampier Law Firm now at 800-279-5481.
I'm Jesse Weber, and you're watching Law and Crime.
Detective Brent Baverstock, the Dane County Sheriff's Officer, is on the witness stand right now, basically describing photographs while we were on break, nothing of great importance. So let's go back live to court.
Question, are those photographs of leading out to the area that was pointed out to you, and then ultimately your search into the woods and maybe what you found?
Yes, they are.
Appear true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, they are.
I would move 82 through 107.
No objection.
They are received.
All right, we're going to do this together. We're going to walk through them. So you see...
And Detective, you can see the same exhibit on the computer monitor if you wish to.
Okay.
And that might help pick up the microphone better as we go through this.
So we'll start with 82. What are we looking at there, and what did you personally observe when you were out there?
So there's the mowed section of the grass, which is just south of the barn. There's a, the stack of old logs sitting there, but to the right is where we could see what appeared to be two tire marks going into the deeper grass.
Did you follow those tire marks?
Yes, I did.
Excuse me, 83, just a different view of those tire marks?
Yep.
84, what are we looking at there?
Just a continuation of the tire marks, where the tire marks end. There was another area of depressed grass, which would have been, if we're looking at the two tire marks, where they stop, there's another area of depressed grass in all different directions at the end of it, sitting right there.
Okay. We'll go to 85. This is maybe looking more into the woods at this point?
Yeah, so if you're standing near where all that grass was patted down at the end of the tire marks in the grass, you look over and you can see more of the grass is like pressed down, heading towards the woods.
And was that, we're seeing it on a photograph, but I'll ask you, because you were out there, was it apparent to you that this was an area that had been walked through or trampled in some way by someone or something?
Yes.
And did you follow it?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and so you entered the woods right there?
Correct.
All right, we're gonna pause 1 second. On this big blow up, if you could just stand up for 1 second and point to the jury on exhibit number 57, where you cut into the woods.
At the end of the mowed section here, two tire marks follow along the grass, and you can see like these white boxes, those are the old beehives. And then right after that, we're cuts into the woods.
All right, for the record, the witness ran his hands essentially down the wood line from the junk pile to the beehives and then drug them into the woods. Okay.
No objection.
Very good.
'86 photograph of that trampled area. 87, what are we looking at there?
So, picture doesn't show it as much, but there's, again, you can see the vegetation in the ground there, but it was very directional as far as this area. To see like this log, the vegetation had been trampled down. So it's hard to tell from this picture, but there's actually a downward slope here. If the trees weren't here, it'd be a good little sledding hill for little kids, but there's like a downward slope that goes down into, you can see like a little brush pile down there.
Okay. 88, what are we looking at there?
More of the trampled grass that goes to this log that goes across. And then you can see they get the green moss on the log, but there's areas where the green moss had been scraped off as if something had scraped it off.
Did you notice anything ultimately beyond that log at this point?
Yeah, the pile of sticks on the other side of the log, and there was just something that wasn't natural under the sticks.
Did you go check it out?
Yeah, I got as close as I had to.
89, the photo just moving a little bit closer.
Yep, again, you see the scrapes on the log there, just under the moss, and then you can see the pile of sticks there, and there's something underneath it. Couldn't quite tell what it was right away, so I stepped over the log and got a little bit of a closer look.
And what did you find?
I didn't know what it was at first.
What do you mean by that?
It took me a while to process what I was seeing. The then it became obvious that I was looking at a human torso.
Okay. So we're going to move in a little bit closer to photograph 90. And again, we're starting to maybe be able to see that, what you saw that day?
Yes.
Under those sticks. Okay. Going to 91, a different view of kind of looking at through those sticks.
Yeah, and this is about the view that I had. You could see the flesh-colored skin on the right, and the belt and pants, and a black rope attached to it. And you can see the rope coming out from the bottom of the stick pile.
Okay, we're going to go to the next photo, which is 92. Just a close-up of under those sticks.
Yes.
At this point, counsel, I will caution and remind the jurors that obviously at some point these photographs will become more explicit as necessary for the state's case in chief. And I just remind you to observe them for whatever length of time you believe is necessary as a juror to do your job. If anyone needs a pause, we'll be happy to do that. And I know Attorney Brown or other counsel, if they're using any of these photos, will alert you every time the photo is going to change, so that if you have diverted your gaze, you'll know to look back to see the next photo. Please continue. Thank you.
Okay. We'll go to the next photo, 93. What are we looking at there?
That's the rope that was attached to the body.
Is the rope in the upper right-hand corner?
No, it's all throughout the picture there. I don't know if you can see it from your angle,
okay.
but
Thank you.
It's all throughout the picture there.
Thank you.
We'll
kind
go
of
to the
coiled
next
up like a snake.
photo, which is 94. Now, we're briefly going to turn away, but what is that?
That's a garbage can.
And where was that in relation to the torso?
So in relation to, this is back up closer to the top of the hill. Off to the right, out of picture, would be where the beehive boxes were.
Okay. And that tarp was out there around the time you found the torso? Or that garbage can?
The garbage can was there. The tarp was inside of it.
Excuse me. And then, is this a close-up, exhibit number 95?
Yes.
Okay. Now, moving back, obviously, number 96, we're back to looking at that pile of sticks, correct?
Correct. We're looking at the human torso underneath the pile of sticks.
Was it a considerable pile of debris on top of the torso? If you could describe it in any way you could.
You know, it wasn't natural to, it looked like it had been accumulated and placed on top. There wasn't another pile of sticks nearby. Similarly, it was mostly a collection of dead wood that was placed on top.
Okay. The next photo is number 97. Just looking at it from a different angle.
Yeah, and there you can see the belt with the rope tied around the waist.
Okay. So the rope was both off to the side, and you saw it around the waist?
Correct.
Okay. Number 98. What am I looking at there?
You're looking at the torso with, I believe that's going to be the most obvious sign would be like the right shoulder with the arm severed off, the head missing.
Okay. We'll go to the next photo, which is 99. What are we looking at there?
At the upper shoulders of the back of the torso.
I'm going to go to the next photo, which is 100. What are we looking at there?
You can see the back of the torso. Again, you see the belt and the pants, the rope tied around the waist. You see the back hair is pretty visible.
Okay. Now, I know we're looking at these all at once, but I think you mentioned earlier on the way out to the property, knowing what you had heard, you'd already called Barry Ehrman, who's the director of the medical examiner's office. At some point, other people arrived during this search, right, from the medical examiner's office, and things of that sort?
Yes.
Okay. And while we're looking at them all in one group, there was a removal of the debris at some points over the torso, kind of supervised by everyone who was out there, making sure it was done correctly.
Correct.
Okay. So the next photo, we're going to start to see what that looked like maybe after some of the debris was removed, okay? We're going to go to photograph 101. And just describe that, if you could, for the record.
Again, it's the torso we found. However, all the branches have been removed from the top of it.
Okay. Was that the position it was in after all the branches were removed?
Yes.
Okay. And I think you testified previously that the limbs were severed and the head. A couple different views of that exist in terms of photographs. So we're going to go to exhibit number 102. And is that a different view?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, anatomically, standing, how the body is it facing down? If the head were still present, would it be facing down? Are we looking at that person's back?
Yes, the chest would be toward the ground at this point. Back is facing upward.
Okay. We're going to go to the next photograph, which is 103. And what is that?
That is a defect in the back, which would indicate, at least from the number of times that I've seen it personally, that there was a wound there.
Okay. Consistent with a bullet wound?
Yeah, and I'm going to object at this point as to foundation and expertise.
I'll sustain. I think the description of a defect is appropriate based upon what we have as a foundation.
Sure. We'll hear from the medical examiners later, Detective, but I'm going to go back one photograph to 102. Is that defect present in that photograph as well?
Yes, it is.
And if you could just again, you know how it works with court, we're taking a record. Could you describe physically on the torso where that defect is on that person?
In the center of the back, probably, 8 inches above the belt line.
Okay. So
6 to 8 inches.
Understood. We'll go back to 103, which we've already looked at. We're going to look
All
at the
right,
next
the state is
photograph.
tying in Bart Halderson's torso that you see there in the pictures of the defendant's girlfriend's mom's property. So this is definitely a significant piece of evidence that the prosecution is bringing out. We're going to take a quick break here on the Law Crime Network. We'll be back with more on the other end. Please stay with us.
Hey, you! Ever wanted to learn a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or time-consuming? What about French, Spanish, even Norwegian? If so, it's time to try Babbel. Babbel lets you customize how and when you learn. From quick 10-minute lessons on words, phrases, and grammar, to games that keep it exciting. Listen to a podcast on the go, or take a live online class with a real teacher. It's really up to you. Babbel's conversation-based technique was created by experts. They know a thing or two about what works. In no time, chatting about real-life topics will feel, well, effortless. So go ahead, see where Babbel takes you. More ways to explore, more ways to learn. Start learning today at Babbel.com.
You spend 1/3 of your life in bed. That's why at Bull & Branch, we hold ourselves to a higher standard. Our bedding is 100% organic, toxin-free, and fair trade certified. It makes a difference you'll feel and offers a better way to live in this world. Start with our best-selling signature sheets made to get softer with every wash. Visit bowlandbranch.com.
No one can deliver your mom's homemade short ribs. That's why Instacart helps deliver the ingredients, and you add the love. Visit instacart.com or download the app to get free delivery on your first order.
I sold my diamond ring with Worthy.com.
Their team of experts helped me understand its value.
Then they held an auction for their exclusive network of buyers.
So I got way more than the jeweler offered.
Sell your diamond jewelry for more with Worthy.com.
Engaged, but not sure what to do next? Plan your whole wedding at Zola. Start with venues and vendors near you. We'll find ones that fit your style and budget. Then explore Save the Dates. Enjoy free personalized samples and free change the dates just in case. Add a free matching website to keep guests updated. You can even host virtual events on it for free. Build a registry that lives on your website too. Fill it with gifts, experiences, even cash funds. Start planning from home at Zola.com.
The bladder control aisle. You won't shop here again. Your private business is your own. The constant struggle is over. Now there's a better way. It's HDIS. We home deliver bladder control products. We understand how you feel. For over 25 years, we've home delivered to many of the 20 million Americans who deal with incontinence. We offer all brands. We pay shipping and use plain, unmarked boxes. If we can help you or someone you care for, call for your free product sample pack and $45 in money-saving coupons. Our counselors will help you choose the right product. And unlike stores, we're always in stock. You'll get what you need. Satisfaction guaranteed. HDIS, the better way.
For your free sample pack with your free catalog, $45 in money-saving coupons, and free product samples, call 1-800-455-9101. That's 1-800-455-9101.
We meet many people, interact with different personalities. There are the good ones, and then there are scammers. Millions of people get scammed every year. The emotional and financial hurt is devastating, but you can fight back and defend yourself. Recognize telltale signs and avoid getting sucked into a scammer's web of lies. Grab a copy of Beverly Corbanek's book, Wow, Scammed or Not Scammed, and learn how to protect yourself. Available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wowscamnotscambook.com.
I'm Terry Austin, and you're watching Law and Crime.
All right. Like I said, you blink your eyes, these witnesses are off the witness stand. During the break, the rest of the testimony was completed. There was no cross-examination. The last part that the prosecutors brought out was that the body was in a state where there were maggots and basically saying there were insects on both the shirts as well as the torso. So indicating to that officer without objection by the defense attorney that there had been some time that had gone by as the body had decomposed. Andrew Scott is with us. Andrew, what do you make so far about the relevance of this particular piece of evidence that the torso is found at this property that's connected to the defendant?
I think it's pretty relevant. It sounds like a bad thing to me if someone's finding a body parts in your yard. So I think this is pretty good evidence. I think it's pretty damning evidence. And it's kind of interesting. The nitty-gritty science stuff, I think, holds a jury's attention pretty well. So I do like that they're kind of trying to bring out and explain the process of some of this decomposition and the types of insects that get involved in this type of stuff.
Yeah, Janine, what are your thoughts about this? And again, the defense not having a single question.
Well, I mean, at the end, she did say not just yet. We know that this witness is going to be called again, and she said not for now. So we know that she is going to cross. She's choosing not to do it right now, and she's being very strategic because the evidence is damning. I mean, this is his girlfriend's parents' farm. I mean, it's a little too close for comfort. It's a little too coincidental. So I think that the evidence stacked up against her client is pretty heavy, and so she's going to be really kind of calculated at what she's going to question and when she's going to question. I think that she's doing a good job so far of doing that. She doesn't want to get caught up in it. But again, it's hard to kind of look at those pictures when you're a juror and think about the fact that, someone's son possibly did this to their parents, left a torso like that. It's just really, really damning evidence. It's really, really hard to watch. I personally found it hard to watch. And, I think that the jury is going to find it very, very difficult as well.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, they took a break for lunch. So this gives us an opportunity to go over some of the highlights in the testimony. And today, aside from hearing from the defendant's girlfriend's mother, Dolce Melender, we also heard from Melender's partner, Crescent Lasai, I believe her name is pronounced. She talked about Halderson's strange behavior around the 4th of July. And keep in mind that the father's remains that we're just talking about right now were discovered on her property. And that is just what this detective had talked about with respect to the torso, which had the maggots on it, which indicated it had been a period of time. Again, indicating this detective that he saw a clearing in this path that looked like it was man-made. It wasn't natural. And of course, the torso had dead sticks and wood on it. So the detective opining that this was something where the torso was placed there and these sticks of dead wood and dead sticks were put on top in order to cover it up. Let's take a listen to some of that testimony.
But what kind of happened next in the events of?
Well, then
that
he
day?
went to go use the pool, because before he'd come down and I'd asked him, how was the pool? He didn't answer, and so he said he was going to go back to use the pool. And then Dulce and I continued to talk because we just felt something was a little odd, so we were concerned, and her and I had a conversation about him of what was going on.
Okay, and then what happened after that?
Well, I kind of got irritated. It was so hot, and I wanted to go swimming, and I was waiting for him to be done using the pool so I could go jump in the pool. And so I was getting impatient and waiting, wondering what was taking him so long. So I said, look, I'm going to go get in the pool. I'm done. I'm hot and I'm tired and I want to go cool off. And she said, okay. So she went to go get her suit, and then her and I have this little riding lawnmower. And so we got on the riding lawnmower to go up to tell him, hey, we're going to go swimming now. And when we got up there, he wasn't in the pool, and the cover was still on the pool. And
okay, so hold on. The pool has a cover.
Yeah, I have like a solar. It heats up. It helps get the water warm, so it just lays flat on the top.
Sure.
So it's got like a little bubble.
And obviously you have to remove said cover to get into the pool.
Yeah, there's times I got lazy where I could fold it over just to get in, but I usually like to take it off so I could have the whole
Was it
pool.
folded over so somebody could get in at all?
No.
So the covers on the pool, is Chandler in sight when you're over by the pool?
No.
Okay, and just, is it Exhibit 57, here's the pool, the round blue. This is an aerial photo, so it almost just looks like a dot.
Right, that's the pool area.
Okay, so what do you do next?
Well, when we drove up, and you could kind of see no one was in the pool, and I didn't see, I was looking for him, and then when I looked to my right, when we came up the hill, I had the doors open in the shed, and I could see through the shed that his car was parked on the other side of the shed.
All right, can you approach Exhibit 57 here and kind of point to where you saw Chandler's vehicle?
We came up, there's a hill here, and we came up, and we could see through the doors.
You could.
The car was parked right about here.
Okay, thank you. So he was parked kind of near, this is some wood and an oil drum.
Yeah, there's a pile of timber logs, and then it's like my scrap junk pile for metal and things.
Fair. And it's kind of near the wooded line here.
Right here.
Okay. All right. So I'm not the best estimator, Judge. I would say 4 inches south of the barn, maybe 1 inch above the oil tank on Exhibit 57 is the area that the witness pointed.
That seems to be a fair description, yes.
Okay. So what do? You see his, oh, well, hold on 1 second. Do you remember what kind of vehicle he was driving that day?
It was like a little station wagon, like a hatchback.
Okay.
It might have been a Subaru, I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you know, was the hatch open, closed, something else?
The back hatch, the back was open.
Okay. All right, so that's where you observed the car, the back hatch, or if you're not a car person like me, you say the trunk was open. What do you do?
Well, yeah, because we go and he's not in the pool, and we see the car, and then I'm like, what the heck is going on? What is he doing? And I said, well, I'm going to go over, and Dulce was like, we were like, what's he doing? What is going on?
Sure.
So we drove over to see if he was in the back of the car. Was he sleeping? What was he doing? Was he smoking weed or something? We didn't know. So we drove over there and with the mower and approached, and I drove to the back of the car because the back end was backed towards me.
Okay, so the back end was facing closer to the barn or the oil drum?
Towards me. The front end was facing the shed.
Oh, towards you right now?
Yes, towards
okay,
me
so
right
toward
now.
the woods, towards the wood line,
so it's facing this way.
The trunk hatch is up.
So
Okay.
we drove in the mower and drove to the back of the car because I thought maybe he was in the back of the car taking a nap or I don't know. And we look in there and there wasn't anything in the car that we could see.
Do you see Chandler anywhere on your property?
No, because then we stopped and we're like, what the heck? We're looking around, what's he doing? Where is he? And Dulce was kind of upset at that moment because she's thinking maybe he's doing drugs or something. She was really upset, thinking, well, he's doing drugs or something. What the hell's he doing? So I said, I don't know, but I'm done. I'm going to get in the pool. I just was hot and irritated and just didn't want to deal with it. And so I said, I'm going to the pool. So we left and drove and parked the mower by the pool.
Okay, so you took your mower,
drove back
over by the pool,
and parked, and then proceeded and got in the pool.
Andrew, I want to talk a little style right now because we have a lot of law aficionados here, some lawyers that watch the show, as well as true crime people. I like this prosecutor's style. I can't help but be kind of captivated by the manner in which she has this very relational dialogue going on with the witness. And the defense isn't making any objection to her, like making commentary, like, yeah, I get it. I understand. Well, I call it a trunk, not a hat. But her style is very smooth to me, and I think very relatable to a jury. What are your thoughts about how she's putting her direct case on?
I absolutely agree. I think she's doing a really good job. She has a good style. She has a good rapport with the witnesses, and I think that rapport plays well in front of the jury. You know, a thing to remember here: this is in Dane County, Wisconsin, which is, you know, kind of a rural area, except for Madison, Wisconsin, which is a college town. So you're going to have a lot of blue collar folks on this jury, you know, and a lot of, you know, more educated people on this jury, seeing as it's where the University of Wisconsin is. So this kind of stuff, I think, plays well in the Midwest. It plays well for a Wisconsin jury. And, you know, it makes for compelling television. And if you're keeping the jury's interest, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, that is so true. And where you are is such a good point, because even like in the state that I practice in Jersey, you could step over a county line and have a completely different jury pool and a completely different result. But this prosecutor definitely is laying it down in a very colloquial way. I think that resonates well with the jury. So we're going to take a quick break here. They are on lunch break. We'll be back with more on the other end. Stay with us.
BarkBox makes it easy for me to spoil my dog. I just tell them about Coco, and they send original toys and treats all tailored to him, with fun new themes that we both enjoy. Every month. Make your dog happy with BarkBox.
It's okay to be curious. Curious about that unknown number. Who was that calling? Who keeps texting? What if it's actually important, or an old friend trying to get in touch? For the next unknown number, use Been Verified. Be curious.
It wasn't Meta's fault that yo-yo dieting failed her. Calibrate works with her biology to end an unsustainable cycle. Medication, coaching, lifestyle tweaks. Lose at least 10% of your body weight or your money back. Join Calibrate.com.
Meet Mike. Mike's been hearing a ton about CBD. Some people are telling him it's changed their life. Now he's wondering if he should try it. His friend Zoe takes CBD because it helps her have more patience with her kids.
It helps me just take the edge off. It helps me relax. It helps me be there with my kids.
Trevor, because it helps him deal with stress at work.
I swear I'm like a mental ninja. Like nothing can throw me off balance.
Lily, because it helps her sleep.
No matter how many things come at me, I'm like, boom, handled, next. I'm like crushing it all day long.
And Ashley, to get rid of headaches.
My headache went away in minutes. I couldn't believe it.
Mike's thinking, should I be taking CBD? With so much junk out there, Mike knows he has to be careful. He's lucky because he has friends he trusts who have found a really good CBD product they recommend. Go to harrelsonzone.com and see why Mike's friends have made it their CBD of choice.
When the kids turn unholy, Harrelson's Own keeps my patience divine.
When work flies out of control, Harrelson's Own keeps me cool as a cucumber.
The device madness never ends. But Harrelson's Own keeps me zen.
Life can be chaotic, but Harrelson's Own CBD helps keep you calm through any storm. It just makes everything feel better.
Give your life a boost.
It's just the best you've ever felt in your natural state.
My happiness in a bottle. It's the best.
I've just started incorporating it into my everyday life now.
Give Harrelson's Own a try, from our family to yours. Go to harrelsonzone.com to order yours now.
When Jamie and Logan joined First Leaf,
They discovered wines from around the world, and the more wines they rate, the more personalized their selections. So First Leaf gets better with every box. First Leaf, try your first 6 bottles for $39.95.
I'm Brian Buckmeyer, and you're watching Law and Crime.
All right, welcome back. Chandler Halderson's case, they are on break right now, but they are moving through this case like hot knife through butter. Very quick defense, having very, very few questions, if any, on cross-examination. Let me tell you how hard that is as a lawyer. I just know from being in that courtroom. And there are some lawyers that shouldn't ask questions because it doesn't affect their case, but they have that desire to ask questions anyway. And sometimes it's really scuttled their defense. So she's showing incredible restraint. This lawyer seems like a defense lawyer. She knows what she's doing and is skilled and experienced. So I'm really excited to see down the road where this defense is going in light of the fact we can't gather it really from the cross-examination case. Anyway, we are in day 3. Of course, Halderson is accused of murdering his parents, dismembering their body. We listened to testimony from the detective today with regard to his father's torso being found on the location. As you see, his parents are right there. A Lasai, Crescent Lasai, I believe her pronunciation is an individual who was just done testifying earlier this morning, where the torso was actually found on her property, along with a gun that was found in her shed that she had no idea was there. Very powerful evidence for the prosecution. Let's listen to the really important, her testimony and the detective today in building blocks for this prosecution. So let's take a listen to a little bit more of her testimony.
Exhibit 70, there's an item here along the back wall, kind of by some boards.
Yeah, there's a bird bath there.
Can you tell at all from this angle what was behind the bird bath?
Well, there's a rifle there.
And at some point, you discover a rifle in your barn.
Yes.
Do you keep guns in your barn?
Not normally. My dad, sometimes he'd keep a pellet gun up there, but he hasn't been walking for a few years, so.
So what did you do well, first off, when did you first see this gun?
Well, I was organizing along the wall, like I say, I was cleaning out my shed, and I wanted to go through these like garden tools because making sure I still use them. Were they broken? I was going to throw them away. So and then I was organizing, putting lumber where the lumber goes, the recycling where the recycling goes. And so I lifted up a board, and I saw a barrel of a gun, and I thought, right away I thought, what's my dad? What the heck has he got his pellet gun over here? So I picked it up by the barrel and looked at it, and I right away recognized it wasn't a gun that I'd ever saw or seen ever before.
So upon realizing you don't know where this gun came from, what do you do?
Well, the first thing is I just felt sort of this sick feeling, and I set it back down, and then I went to ask my father just to make sure that he didn't know about any gun in the shed, and I went and asked, and he said, well, what does it look like, or whatever, and I said, well, Dad, I'm just going to call the police. And then I called Krista, the head of the investigation. She left me her number, and I called her and spoke with her and told her what I'd found, and she told me that she was going to send somebody out.
Okay, and do you remember roughly what month or?
Oh, it was in the middle of October-ish because I wanted to clean out the shed earlier, but the police were there for so long. My raspberries started, so it was after the raspberries were done, which was sometime in the end of October-ish.
Okay, all right, so it was a few months later.
Yes.
Janine, break down for us the importance of the order of these witnesses. Of course, you can't always get the witnesses exactly in the order you want to because of constraints of time and people's availability. But this witness, in combination with the next witness, the detective who found the torso, how powerful is that? Especially when Crescent here basically ties him to acting strangely, the defendant, when supposedly he was at that scene dropping that torso and weapon in the shed. How powerful is that?
Well, it's been great. Exactly. I mean, even day one was. I mean, starting with the brother, and then the family friends and the 2 sisters, and it builds and builds and builds. And now you have Crescent, who is his girlfriend's mother's partner who, has a relationship with him. And she's basically here testifying about all the strangeness in his behavior. She's testifying about how, he says he's going to the pool. He doesn't go to the pool. And she sees his car in this strange place with the hatchback open. Obviously, there was something in that trunk. She talks about finding this gun in her shed, that the shed was not locked, that he had access to it. Then you have the police officer come on board. He had spoken to her and he got the red flags from his conversation with her. And then he's, contacting the station saying, wait a second, red flags here. I need more men. And he says, we're thin. They were all going up to the cabin, but we needed more people to come down here because he knew they were going to find something. You have the turkey vultures circling. You have all of this, happening. And it really kind of adds and makes him seem very, very guilty.
All right. Excellent analysis. We're going to take a quick break here, but we will be back on the other end. So please stay with us.
I'm Sean Stix Larkin, and you're watching Law and Crime.
Every plate helps save you time and money on meals you'll love.
We have a high-pressure system moving in from the east.
So you can seize the day. Even if it's not ready to be seized. Live your best life with America's best value meal kit and get your first box for only $1.99 a meal. Plus, 20% off another 2 boxes using offer code EPTV199.
Okay, Billy is like the unicorn of razors.
The unicorn of razors.
The unicorn of razors. I haven't been this smooth since I had braces.
My leg hair was coarse enough to braid, and this razor sailed right through it.
In one swoop, everything was gone.
It's like some kind of witchcraft.
This razor is super sharp, and I shave everywhere.
Obsessed.
I love Made In. I love what Made In represents. With the product, you could tell that there's extreme craftsmanship.
You would think a pan is a pan until Made In came along, and I went, wow, these things are something better.
I use Made In both at home and here at Craft in New York City. They're beautifully made and will help you take your cooking to the next level.
Those are the pans that we use at Alinea. We're going to have the best pans in the world at one of the best restaurants in the world.
This right here is confidence in a bottle.
It just gives you such a boost of confidence.
Not only does it change you on the outside, but something in the inside, knowing that you're looking better.
It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt in my life.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Well, today we're going to see one for ourselves and let you be the judge. It's called Plexiderm, and lifestyle expert Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and you'll notice the model has bags underneath his eyes and some sagging, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face, and that's how easy it is.
All right, what's the active ingredient?
Okay, so it's silicates that are minerals found in shale rock, and what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes, and as little as 10 minutes, no prescriptions, and very little effort. Even watching the video, this is a real, it's a model, but it's a real guy with real bags underneath his eyes. And I did this to my father. We were at home. I had the timer on, and we were screaming. 4 minutes, 34 seconds, completely gone.
My real true opinion is holy words I can't say on camera. These lines bother me. They really do. And this is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I could feel it just lifting my skin. It was amazing. It feels good. Feels great. Looks even better.
And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles. So it targets all those problem areas.
So this would be a daily thing, or
it absolutely could be a daily thing. But the way you want to do it is you want to have a clean, dry face. You use a small amount because it's so powerful. You have high school reunions, you have events you want to go to, you want to look years younger. This is it.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work for yourself after your first application. Your solution is at plexidermtrial.com or call the number on your screen.
Attention, this is a medical alert. The toxic exposure zone in the aftermath of 9/11 included all of Lower Manhattan below Canal Street. If you worked, lived, or went to school there between 9/11 and May 2002 and have been diagnosed with a lung disease or any cancer, you may be entitled to money from the Federal Victim Compensation Fund that covers more than 70 types of cancer and lung diseases. To see if you're eligible, call Isbrook Marsh Law now. 800-828-1000. The fund has deadlines. No fees unless we recover for you. 800-828-1000.
All right, Chandler Halderson, we are waiting for the jury to come back from their lunch break, but a very pivotal testimony given by the prosecution witnesses today. One of them was from the defendant's girlfriend's mother, Dolce Melender. Now, remember, one of the charges against the defendant in this case is for filing a false missing persons report around July 4th. And so Dolce is going to talk, I did speak to the jury about the oddity of the manner in which the defendant was acting around that period of time. A number of witnesses have spoken about this, but obviously this is an important witness. Let's take a listen.
At any point the day before the 4th of July when you were out there, or this day, the July 5th, Monday, so Sunday or Monday when you see Chandler, does he tell you that his parents are anywhere, at a cabin or anything like that?
Yes, he says that they were going up north, went up north. But that was Sunday. Okay. They already left, and I already knew because, I already knew.
Okay. Did Chandler ever express any concern to you about where his parents were? That he was worried about them at all?
He looked worried, yeah.
He looked worried? But maybe, did he say anything about that or just looked worried?
No, he didn't say too much about it. But on Tuesday, that was different.
Would you describe his behavior or the way he was acting? Was that normal for Chandler? Was it different than usual?
It was a little bit different.
Okay. What do you mean?
On that Sunday?
Yeah, let's talk about Sunday or even
Yes.
Monday the next day. What do you mean by different?
Sunday when he was kind of okay and with the kids because the kids sit down in the same table, and they were interacting, but for some reason Chandler was a little bit more quiet in a way. But he was, and he looked kind of also sleepy.
On the 4th of July?
Yeah.
What about the next day?
Tired. The next day, I'm sorry, I just thought that Chandler was so depressed that he probably took his mom's pills because she had cancer. So
Objection.
Did Chandler say anything to you when you guys were doing the Buffalo Wild Wings night about his parents or where they were?
He was just worried because he wasn't here from his parents yet.
Okay. Did he tell you anything more about that?
No.
Okay. How was he acting on this day?
Tired. Okay. Sad in a way, maybe.
Okay. At some point, did you find out that Bart and Krista Halderson were missing? Like the people were looking for them and they didn't know where they were?
Well, 2 times it was brought up that they were missing. And on Tuesday, I questioned myself how they're missing. And I questioned saying, I will say that I didn't hear from my parents, or my parents hasn't called me, or I would not say missing unless I know they were missing.
Andrew, what do you make of this testimony? Because she does give some wiggle room there that he was worried and that he hadn't heard from the parents. And the defense does cross-examine, which we'll get to shortly, of this witness. What are your thoughts as to the need of this witness?
I think what the prosecution is doing here is they're trying to establish how he was acting while this thing was going on, which is while the parents were missing, which is something that you see prosecutions do quite often, trying to show that he was indifferent or not acting the way that people think people should act when their loved ones are missing. I generally am unconvinced by this type of testimony, but I understand that it resonates with juries well. I also think that the prosecution here probably thought he was going to be cold and seem like he wasn't worried and unbothered. And I think that's starting to kind of backfire, and it's kind of showing off that maybe he wasn't exactly how they wanted to be. He wasn't exactly that perfect kind of sociopathic, disinterested in what was going on with his parents.
Yeah, Janine, when at least when I prosecuted cases, I was very circumspect about putting, how people were acting or reacting, because there could be a million reasons why that happens. And I understand why the prosecutor's putting this witness on. He's acting differently. But do you think this witness is really helping the prosecution? Because you don't have to put the witness on. What are your thoughts?
Well, going back to what she said, though, she's the first one who's saying that he did seem kind of worried, right? Because we heard from, the family friends, and they were kind of shocked by him because they said to him, look, you've got to call the police. And then they called to see if he did call the police, and he hadn't called the police because he said he didn't know what number to call. And she was like, well, he could have Googled it. He wasn't doing any of the things that anybody would think to do. And again, everybody acts differently. So just because I would do something or you would do something doesn't mean that he would do something. But up until this particular witness, everybody else was kind of saying, well, he's acting strange for someone whose parents, he can't get a hold of, who may be missing, who may be hurt. We don't know what's happened to them. And everybody, these family friends, the two sisters, they've all kind of said he was odd. He's telling the sisters, you don't have to hand over your cell phones. He's just making very odd comments. This is really the first witness that's gone up there that's kind of said, well, he seemed nervous, he seemed upset. And so it does kind of backfire, and it does kind of, make people think, because up until now, we've not heard that.
Yeah, interesting. And what's also interesting is that the defense decided to cross-examine this witness. So again, they're very strategic in not cross-examining a lot of witnesses, or very limited cross-examination. So I guess we can take something from the fact that the defense felt the need to cross-examine her. Let's take a listen.
When you were talking about Cress in the farm and in the pool, she was topless, correct?
Yes.
And it makes you uncomfortable, correct? Talking about it.
Very.
So when we saw you, that was just you being uncomfortable about Cress being topless and Chandler having to see that, correct?
Both.
Both the fact that she was topless and the fact that Chandler had to see.
No, that the fact that she was topless and that Chandler came in the pool.
Gotcha. Okay. But as far as Chandler making you feel uncomfortable, that's not something that you were feeling personally. It was just the situation with Cress being topless. And let me ask it this way. That day in the pool on the 5th, it was just a weird situation. Is that fair?
It was very weird, the whole thing.
The whole thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Chandler was acting dopey. I think that's what the DA used.
Yes, but also I know Chandler that he is very polite, so I was like kind of surprised how there he went in the pool when Chris was topless, and he made me uncomfortable for that.
And that makes total sense. I would react that way too.
All right, Andrew, that's where the cross went. Is the defense lawyer trying to pull away from the disappearance and getting into this pool incident? as a distraction or as a ulterior theory of this case? What do you think?
Well, I've said this so many times on this show. My theory on cross-examination is don't. So when they were doing it and they were kind of not doing it through all these witnesses, I got that kind of strategy. Here, it really kind of seems like they're either distracting or she's trying to come off better with the jury, have more of a colloquial conversation, kind of, almost in response to the way the prosecutor is kind of having these kind of real kind of simple, familiar conversations with the witnesses. It seems like she's trying to do the same thing here.
How about you, Janine?
I actually disagree. I actually think it's helpful to the defense because, Cress is so strong in her testimony. She's really kind of after him. He was acting strange. She was irritated, this, that, the other thing. And here she's saying it was just really kind of a weird day. So he was acting weird because it was a weird day because Cress was topless. That makes not only him uncomfortable, but you uncomfortable, everybody uncomfortable. It was just kind of an awkward day, and that's why he was acting awkward. I actually think it's helpful.
Very interesting. Okay, guys. Again, they're on lunch. They should be coming back shortly. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Have you ever wanted to learn a new language like French, Spanish, or Russian, but thought it would be too difficult and time-consuming? Then go to Babbel.com and try it for free. Babbel works because it's built around real life. It teaches you everyday practical conversations that you will actually use. In 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. Babbel uses a modern conversation-based technique that makes language engaging, fun, and memorable. It starts by teaching you words and phrases. Then, sentences gradually get more complex. Soon, you're practicing short conversations about real-life topics. Babbel is created by language experts who use the spaced repetition method to help you learn quickly and remember what you learned. With Babbel, you can speak a new language because language isn't just about learning new words. It's about learning a culture, a mindset, and a new point of view. Babbel, language for life. Go to Babbel.com and try it for free today.
A band of brothers, finally reunited after 30 long years. Use Been Verified to search for the people you miss. You might just find what you've been missing all along. Been Verified, know better.
With science-backed Calibrate, Vicky's weight loss is sustainable, ending years of unsustainable yo-yo diets. Medication, coaching, lifestyle tweaks. Lose at least 10% of your body weight or your money back. Join Calibrate.com.
Engaged and not sure what to do next? Zola is the one place to start. Start with venues and vendors near you that fit your style and budget. Then explore save the dates and invites. Get free samples to see them in real life. Keep guests updated on a free matching website. And even stream virtual events on it for free. Then build your registry. Add gifts to make married life even sweeter. Get started for free at Zola.com.
Welcome to Law and Crime. Thanks for joining us here on our continued live coverage of the Derek Chauvin trial.
You don't get in the car. Mama. The trial of Robert Durst. I am not trying to figure out anything.
The Kyle Rittenhouse trial.
I never wanted to shoot Mr. Rose in the mouth.
I didn't want to hurt anybody.
I'm Dan Abrams.
I'm Terry Austin.
I'm Brian Buckmeyer.
I'm Brian Ross. I'm Jesse Weber. And you're watching Law and Crime.
You can either spin the wheel and win a delicious meal with an affordable price tag, or you can pay $100 for this drawing of dinner.
I'm gonna need a second to think about it.
Okay, well, while he's figuring that out, Emily, what's it gonna be?
The wheel.
Emily, you've won a delicious, simple, and satisfying dinner with every plate. Get your first box for $179 a meal using offer code TV179.
I'm Dan Abrams, and you're watching Law and Crime.
Okay, so Chandler Halderson, they are about to come back hopefully soon from their lunch break. They're going very quickly in this case. Very interesting defense, asking very few questions. So we will get to that live when they are live, but it gives us an opportunity right now to go through some really important testimony, crystallize it down for you, the audience. One of them is Kevin Linsmeyer, who's a neighbor of the Hendersons, who gave evidence before the jury with regard to an encounter that he had with the defendant after the disappearance of his parents that he surreptitiously or secretly recorded. Let's take a listen to some of that recording and testimony.
I don't know if we've ever met. Well, actually, we did meet. I think we met once or twice when we first moved over there. I think we met. Sorry about what's going on.
What it is, but I was wondering if your door camera.
You do have a ring, yeah.
Does it pick up the road?
Yes, some it does.
Would you have any notifications from Friday morning, early, before 6:15?
We can check. That's not a problem. Is that before 6:15?
Yeah, before 6:15, kind of since Thursday midnight. Any notifications?
Okay. My wife is the one that knows how to run that, so I'll have her pull it up on the computer. So Thursday night to Friday morning.
Yeah.
Okay. You doing okay over there? Anything I can do to help you out? Do you need help watching the dogs or anything?
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to leave my dogs with people.
I'm sorry, what was that?
My youngest dog was in a bad home before, so she's got to be either with me, my parents, or like there's my great aunt and uncle. The only people that she's okay being near.
Okay. Well, if there's anything I can do to make life easier, I mean, I'm retired now, so I'm around. My wife's around a lot. She still works, but especially if it's like watching the dogs or anything, if there's anything I can do to make your life easier, I'll give you my phone number. Yeah. You can call me. If there's anything I can do, I'm from, you know, where your dad is from the Valders area. Mm-hmm. I grew up in that area.
Oh, okay.
He's 3 years younger than me, but we went to the same high school.
So you were with my Uncle Brett?
Brett is 1 or 2 years older than me.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't think I've ever talked to him. I know he used to be cross country, was he? Was he a big runner back in, I think in high school he was a runner, I think. And I don't know if I've ever talked to him. I know what he looks like, but he is 1 or 2 years older than me. But how's, you know, your how's your dad's family or Krista's family doing?
I haven't heard anything from my mom's family. They're kind of spread across the map. So
do they know what's going on though?
No, I haven't talked to them before. Okay. I wouldn't know how to contact them. Either. Okay. My brother might know how to contact her brother. So I think he's met her.
No?
Yeah,
Brett knows.
I'm hoping Brett can come because he'll be able to look through more things than the police are.
Yeah. Well, when Brett comes up here, if he comes up here, have him come over here. I mean, if there's anything I can do to help out with anything. I mean, I was a detective for 23 years with Madison Police Department, so I worked, you know, that's kind of stuff. I know Brett was a manager. He was a boss, but he should have a lot of experience. But, you know, and if you have Brett's phone number, I could easily call him up. If you want to give me Brett's phone number, I'll give him a phone call and just, you know, tell him. And actually, I think you text that to me also.
Yeah, I think it's contact.
Yeah, send it to me. I've always wanted to meet him because I know he was a police officer for many years, and I don't even know if he knows who I am. But when I met, you know, your dad and Krista, he told me that Brett was a cop. I'm like, I knew that. I just didn't. He was in the military or something too. I remember.
Yeah, he was in the Army.
Yeah, I remember that also. But I'll have Lisa check the ring. I know the cops one of them came over and talked over here a little bit yesterday and asked if we saw anything, and it's like, no, not much. So.
It's too early. I haven't seen anyone up around that time anyways.
All right, interesting, that recording, that was on July 8th, the day that the defendant got arrested for filing a false missing persons report, and also the day that Bart Halderson remains were found. So, Andrew, what do you think this footage shows the jury in terms of the defendant's reactions to what is occurring during the time that his parents are missing? And what are your thoughts about the idea that the neighbor decided to record this in the first place?
You know, this is one of those cases. It's one of those bizarre cases that you kind of look at and you see a lot of different circumstances, a lot of different characters who have their own kind of things going on here, and you put this in front of a jury. If you're sitting in the jury here, you absolutely have to be paying attention to this, and that's the best thing I could say about everybody here. Now, I'm not really sure how much this really does for the prosecution, because again, like I told you, I'm very suspect of evidence that suggests that people should be acting a certain way when, you know, there's tragedies going on in their life. We've all experienced tragedies going in our life, and we all react certain ways, and it's not the way that you imagine. It's not the way that you see in movies. But, you know, you have the jury paying attention here, and I think to go to your question about what the neighbor recording him, I mean, it's obvious the neighbor thought that there was something very strange going on here that it needed to be recorded, right?
Mm. Yeah, I think so. I mean, it kind of speaks, Janine, volumes that the neighbor decided to record this, but, you know, also asking for the neighbor's Ring doorbell footage. And what did he mean by when he says, I haven't seen anyone up around that time anyway? If he's trying to see if anyone saw or killed or mutilated his parents, is he trying to see what evidence there is out there? And if so, I mean, that can't bring, it's not like I'm trying to find my parents. It's almost kind of like I'm trying to make sure there's not evidence against me. Thoughts?
It's like he's trying to make sure that there's not evidence against him. And also, going back to the fact that the neighbor taped him, it goes directly against what the defense said in opening, right? The defense keeps saying, this is a normal kid, this is a nerdy kid, this is a normal kid, he couldn't have done this. But, you know, the family friends that, you know, he called aunt and uncle, they think he could have done it. The girlfriend's mother and partner, they think could have done it. His own brother, he thinks he could have done it. And even the neighbor took outward steps to tape him because he thinks he could have done it. So I think all of that really kind of adds up. I don't think it looks good for the defendant at all.
Yeah, interesting. And yesterday they actually had a family friend, Mary Sesto, who took the stand, which related a conversation following the disappearance that he had, which obviously, to your point, is kind of building up these building blocks of people that are family and friends that are talking about him, people recording him, really communicating to the jury that people actually thought what he was doing was suspicious and that he was potentially capable of doing such a thing. Let's take a listen.
Let's back up a little bit. You said that you started to feel uncomfortable and some things were said that didn't line up. Mm-hmm. What was said?
So Chandler was actually trying to be very assuring that that they had taken a large roll of cash. They wanted to blow off some steam. They were going to go gamble. That they had taken a tote of booze with gin and tequila in it, which were not, as I mentioned, alcohol, as I was aware of them drinking. And that they drove with another couple. So those things just...
One and one were not equally
No,
two.
It wasn't the people I knew.
Okay. So you said you went to the kitchen. Why did you go to the kitchen?
Because he was just the things he was saying. He was just very, what I perceived as, just emotionally flat. I don't know. I was uncomfortable. So when my husband left, I stepped into the kitchen.
So some people are kind of emotionally flat, and that's just kind of how they present. Was that Chandler most of the time?
Not to that extent. So like that evening when he was at our house and he talked about the dogs and how he was frustrated that he expressed concern that the dogs had been locked out in the garage during the whole time that the detectives or police were there, and he got emotional that they didn't deserve that. They shouldn't be out there. So it was more so than when he spoke about his parents that I more emotionally flat. And
so he got more emotional over the dogs than his mom and dad being missing.
Yes, yes, when he talked about the dogs, there was more emotion.
Why do you move into the kitchen?
I just felt uncomfortable. I wanted me to be between the door and him. And again, he did not He did not do anything that was physically concerning. I just was uncomfortable because what he was saying, it was not making sense to me.
Okay, so you put yourself between him and the door.
Correct.
And when you say door, I am
Front door.
assume the front door, the door to go outside. What sort of things do you and Chandler discuss once you're in the kitchen?
I don't recall that we had a lot of discussions specific when we were in the kitchen. We kept it light. It was, I really don't recall anything that occurred there. When my husband came back, and again, I don't remember if it was before he left or when he came back, we talked about, he said that Krista had texted him on Sunday. And again, I'm sorry, I just don't remember did that occur before my husband left for pizza
that's okay.
or when he came back. But I was just, it was, that's not, I couldn't believe that if they had left on Friday, I've never, ever known her in 25 years, once the boys were old enough, that she was out of contact from them for that length of time.
Did you and Chandler have any discussions about phones?
Oh, yes. So I was trying to be reassuring that, don't worry, because in my brain at that point, I'm thinking they're in a car wreck on the side of the road. Something like that happened. And so I said that, don't worry, they can track their phones. They can look at where the location of the phone is, and hopefully that will find them. And his comment was, no, they can't do that.
Okay, and how did he say that?
Just very flat, they can't do that.
All right, Mary Sesto. Janine, let's go to the last point you had just made. Another witness talking about him being emotionally flat. Prosecutor getting really good information about uncomfortable to the point where she left and she wanted a door between her and him. So clearly, without saying it, feeling that he is a danger, indicating that she would never be out of contact with kids that long, and saying that the things he was saying didn't make any sense. So even though that's not pinpointing that he did it or he didn't do it, but that gets to your point that these witnesses are kind of adding up with respect to something is just not right with this defendant, pointing towards obviously foul play, no?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the idea that this is a family friend, this is someone who looked at him like a member of her family, and she wants a door between her. She's afraid of him. Couple that with the family friends that talked about, they actually drove up, they left their cabin, drove up to the parents' cabin, which was padlocked. And the first thing out of his mouth is, well, did you see any blood or any shotgun shell casings? Everything about this, I know everybody acts differently, but the way he's acting very guilty. You know, it's not just that he's not having the reaction that we think he should have. He's acting very guilty, and it's putting everybody on notice. So I think that that's really not helpful to him. And every witness that comes, they're all saying the same thing. So I think that that's really damaging for him.
Yeah, Andrew, what are your thoughts about the efficacy of what the prosecutor is doing here in calling these repeated witnesses? And I will note the order in which the prosecutor is calling them is kind of, I didn't feel comfortable. I had to put a door between us. He was acting odd before he gets to the witnesses where the body parts are found, at that location. A weapon is found at that location. The defendant was at that location. And then the detective, who's the person who found those body parts. Good kind of cadence. But what did you think about this witness and how it fits into that picture the prosecutor's trying to create?
I like it. I think what they're doing is they're creating a narrative here. And, effective trial strategy is all about selling the story, telling your story the way you want and convincing a jury of it. And here they're bringing them to this area where they're saying there's something wrong with this gentleman. It started here, and now we're talking about someone who wants a door between them. And if you're gonna increase the uncomfortability that people had, the closer they get to the finding of the bodies. This is the type of thing that prosecutors need to do. They need to keep it simple. They need to keep it easily digestible. And this way, you could move the jury to where you need to go rather than hit them with disjointed narratives.
Yeah, excellent analysis, Guy. Interesting how the prosecution's putting this case on. Interesting how the defense is really cross-examining very little, and again, waiting to see if a bombshell is about to drop from the defense point of view. We're going to take a quick break here at the Law and Crime Network. For The Record is the show. We will be right back.
Hi, I'm Jeff from Nuts.com. When my grandfather started this business in 1929, he relied on 4 important values: freshness, quality, variety, and service. I'm proud to carry on his legacy, but from a bigger space. We still freshly roast, season, and dip delicious nuts here in New Jersey and deliver them with the freshest dried fruits, snacks, and sweets to families that love our products all around the country, including mine. We think you'll love Nuts.com too, so check us out and enjoy free shipping on your first order.
Holiday party season is finally here. JustFab's VIP membership gives you a huge selection of festive boots, booties, heels, and more. And of course, every pair is so comfortable. Head to justfab.com for 2 pairs of great shoes from just $29.95.
Something's bothering my stomach. I could cut out a lot of foods or figure out what's actually bothering me before removing and adding back. I'll do that.
No one can deliver your mom's homemade short ribs. That's why Instacart helps deliver the ingredients, and you add the love. Visit instacart.com or download the app to get free delivery on your first order.
Now you can win $5 grand a week for life and pass it on.
February 28th, win $5 grand a week forever from Publishers Clearinghouse.
Enter now at PCH.com. $5 grand a week forever. Enter at PCH.com.
Letting go of my diamond ring was really hard, but selling it for the best price was simple with Worthy.com. They evaluate your jewelry to help you understand what it's actually worth. Then they auction it to their network of professional buyers. Get more for your jewelry with Worthy.com.
Looks like you're not sleeping well.
How did you know? Megan!
Hey, you're that guy.
The My Pillow guy.
That's right, and I'm here to help you get the best sleep of your lives. Oh, you have a down pillow. Here's the problem with down pillows. You lay there, you feel comfortable, and guess what? It goes down, and you got one bent neck. So this pillow's no good, and I see you're sleeping on memory foam.
Right.
I'll show you what's wrong with that idea.
Okay.
Sleep's all about too high or too low, and I'm gonna show you where your comfort level would be.
You know, that feels better.
Right, that's better, but I'm not gonna sit and hold this all night. So every morning you're getting up like, you know, it's not good. Just like all of you out there, I had problems sleeping. I had tried every pillow out there and none of them worked. That's why I invented My Pillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck aligned. Call or go online to take advantage of my best offer ever. For a limited time, when you use your promo code, you can get premium My Pillows, regularly $69.98, now only $29.98. That's right, only $29.98. That's the lowest price ever.
It feels great to wake up in the morning and feel well rested. It's shocking to me that a pillow could make this big of a difference in my life.
Sleep is one of the most important things to your health, and My Pillow is one of the most important things to your sleep. Call or go online now to take advantage of my best offer ever. Use the promo code to get queen size premium My Pillows, regularly $69.98 for only $29.98. Get king size My Pillows for just $5 more. It's the lowest price ever. You're sleeping better.
Much better.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Calibrate is a doctor-guided weight loss program that combines virtual doctor visits, FDA-approved medication, and one-on-one video coaching to reset your metabolic system. Get back in control of your weight and your health with Calibrate. Sign up today at joincalibrate.com.
I'm Brian Ross, and you're watching Law and Crime.
Welcome back. And if you're joining us, Chandler Halderson's jury is on lunch break. They should be coming back anytime now. The government is going through multiple witnesses, very little cross-examination by the defense. One of those witnesses was a Catherine Schuster, who was a family neighbor who had an interaction with the defendant after the defendant had called in a missing persons report with respect to his parents. And Ms. Schuster tried to give some assurances that everything was going to be okay, but it didn't go quite as planned. Let's take a listen.
Did you ask him about his parents' phones and tracking them?
I did. Then next I said, well, you know, what about their phone records? Are they looking at their phone records? And he said, no, they can't get their phone records unless they have a dead body. And I said, well, you know, they'll definitely subpoena those. I'm sure it'll take some time. And I don't know if that's the right verbiage, subpoena, whatever, but it'll take some time, but they'll absolutely be able to get phone records. And, you know, and then he said, well, I think the person down the street has some high security cameras. And I said, oh, do you mean Kelly? And he said, who? And I just said, you know, the person that lives in the blue house down the street. He said, I think I'll have to visit her. And then I think that was the majority of the conversation. Besides that, I said, you know, he got up. I said, you're going to be so happy when they pull in your driveway. You're just going to be so happy and it'll be okay. And he said, no, I'm going to give him an earful. I'm angry. We're all really angry. And I said, well, no, you know what I mean? Like when your child goes missing and you're mad they ran away, but you're really just really happy you found them. And he said, no, the whole family's just very angry and we're all going to give him an earful. And I said, okay, well, you know, I asked if I could help with his dogs too. And during this conversation, sometime he said no. And I said, okay, well, you know, anything we can do, you know, either we're praying for you or we're thinking about you. One of those things I would say, I recall saying, but I don't know which one. Sure. And that was it. Sure. Then I watched him walk in the direction of the neighbor across the street.
Somebody came in your house. Where did he sit again?
On the floor against, we have a big oversized chair. And I had pulled the ottoman out. It's an oversized ottoman. And I had pulled that out so he could sit on the chair. But he may have felt more comfortable on the floor. He sat on the floor with his back against the ottoman. Or not the ottoman, the chair.
Did he seem to you to have any physical trouble getting up and down?
Not that I noticed.
What was his demeanor like, or his effect when he was telling you these things about maybe his parents being gone?
It's hard to describe. I would guess kind of a quiet nature. I would say like would appear to be down, maybe. Yeah.
Police contacted you at some point, I would imagine?
They did.
And you've been cooperative all the way through with the police, helping them out with video and talking to them about your conversations?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
All right, Andrew. So this whole conversation about her trying to say, well, the police can get the records, and he's saying not unless there's a dead body, and all this kind of deflection that's going on here. Again, are we back to what Janine was saying before, that these are just more and more building blocks of him responding in a really peculiar and odd fashion when people are trying to find his parents that he believes, quote unquote, are missing?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that's the narrative here that the prosecution is selling. And I again, like I said, I think it's pretty effective. You know, it's hard when you try to have this reactionary, you know, how is this guy reacting? He's reacting strange type of arguments as to a way to impute guilt on somebody. But the way that they're doing it is in a subtle enough way where you're showing and you're walking them through each different step of how all of these different people had different impressions about this guy or different interactions with this guy, but left with similar impressions about the oddness about what's going on.
Yeah, and Janine, I mean, it's also what's being said and what's not being said. But one of those things is that if his parents were found to be mad as opposed to relieved, which would not be it would be a counterintuitive emotion for most people. What are your thoughts?
No, it keeps adding and adding. And again, remember, it's not just that he's not reacting the way that we think he should react. He's actually saying things like, oh, no, they can't do that unless they find a body. And then when he talks to the twins, he's basically encouraging them not to give their cell phones over to the police because I guess maybe he's afraid of what is on those threads. It's not just that he's not reacting, it's that he's acting guilty and that everything he says kind of adds to that notion that he's guilty. So to me, it's really damning evidence, one after another after another. And these are people all who were, you know, family, friends, and people who have no reason to think anything of the sorts, and they all do.
And another interesting thing about cases like this is that you're calling in a missing person. This is your parents. In a certain sense, there's always that need of the bad person, if you will, the person that commits a crime, to feel the need to cooperate. And the media gets involved. And there's all these people that are looking for this missing person. So you're kind of involved in it. So you're giving statements. And this is what provides prosecutors like myself back in the day with all these weird and odd things that the suspect actually does, including these news conferences. Of course, you're going to get out in front of the news because you want to find your parents. But if you're a guilty person, you could be saying things that ultimately can come back to bite you. So let's listen to a couple of interviews that were given by him, or statements that were given him by him during an interview, to see if it can give us a little insight into his state of mind.
They were picked up by their friends, who I never got the name of, and I assumed it was someone I was aware of, the close neighbors of theirs up the street, or their best friends down on the east side. So that's what I assumed. I never really asked any further.
Chandler says he assumed his parents had turned off their phones to avoid roaming charges, and it wasn't until after the holiday weekend ended that he got nervous.
Because this weekend it was packed. I get that. Packed. Maybe the weather wasn't great for messaging.
I was told they'd be home Monday or Tuesday, and Tuesday afternoon I got a little worried.
Chandler Halderson says his parents, Krista and Bart, were getting picked up by friends that Friday. They were planning to be at the cabin over the 4th of July weekend.
Apparently they did make it. I got a text on Sunday.
Halderson says after that text, he began getting worried when his calls to his mom went directly to voicemail.
That's when I got worried, and I went to make a report. Their plans were going up with their friends and do some minor repairs on our cabin.
That cabin is some 3 hours away from Windsor on a lake in a small community in Langlade County.
Did you literally see them pulling out of the driveway heading out?
No.
Their son, Chandler Halderson, who asked to be off camera, says whoever his parents were traveling with from this neighborhood were to do the driving. He says he received a text from his mother.
She got back to me on Sunday, said they made it safely.
Bit of a double-edged sword here as far as the physics are concerned of a trial. And by introducing this kind of evidence, which I never did, now I'm not second-guessing this prosecutor, every case is different, but I never did it because my fear of putting something like this into the record is that it stops the defendant from taking the witness stand. It's actually information that the defense can now sum up to as to the defendant's defense in some regard. Whereas if I don't put it in and there is no explanation of what happened, it's more likely to force a defendant to the witness stand. What are your thoughts as a defense lawyer about the efficacy of the prosecutor using this, and there's value to it for sure, as opposed to kind of holding it back and maybe using it to cross-examine the defendant if you force him to that stand?
I think it's more effective from a cross-examination perspective, but there are little bits and pieces here that I think kind of were interesting to the jury that I think that if you aren't necessarily looking for them, you might miss, but they might kind of ring kind of in the back of your head. For instance, that little clip there said, well, he wanted to be off camera for this interview. That was kind of an interesting thing to say here, because it almost kind of makes it sound like he's kind of hiding something, even though it really wasn't. Now, if I'm a defense attorney and I find out that my client was going all over the place, giving all these videotaped interviews, I'm jumping up and down, freaking out, trying to get those things out of the record the best I can. But once they get put in the record, you have an opportunity here to craft your story. And a good defense attorney will sit here and will be able to take this stuff and mold it to tell their narrative and to show why he could not have done this kind of stuff. And I think there's a lot there. There was some responses. Oh, he started to get worried when, he called his mom and it went straight to voicemail. Yeah, that makes sense. The first part of the story that he had thought that they just turn off their cell phone to make roaming or to avoid roaming charges. I thought that was kind of strange. People aren't turning off their cell phones in nowadays just because of roaming charges or anything like that. But starting to talk about, okay, the phone is off. That seems strange. That seems like something that would start ringing alarm bells, and that might be the beginning of why he would file this missing persons report. So I think that the defense attorney has a lot here to kind of shape into his narrative. And I'm not sure how effective it is based on what the prosecution has been trying to do so far.
Yeah, Janine, we're really getting into the wonky nuances of what trials are all about. And just because you can doesn't mean you should. I'd like you to kind of ask the same question. I knew, and look, reasonable minds can differ. I had cases in which somebody gave a quote unquote confession as a prosecutor to a murder case, but in it was laced little pieces of their defense. And I had enough with the other witnesses. We've already listened to some of those witnesses, multiple people saying he's acting strange and odd, having him at the scene where the torso of the father is found, the gun in there. I'd say to myself, and I'm not second guessing here, but I'd say to myself, I got enough right now to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. I don't want to take a chance that I put this interview in and now the defense can sum up to it without putting him on the stand as opposed to using it to cross-examine him. What are your thoughts?
Well, in the instant case, I think that there was never going to be a situation where this particular defendant took the stand, and I'll tell you why. Because he has lie after lie after lie, and he's not going to be able to sit on a stand and explain that. I mean, he pretended to go to college. Okay, he pretended to have a job at an insurance company. He pretended that, there was an issue with his payment. He went so far as to create a fake email exchange with, I guess, HR at his fictitious job so that he could show his father. He created a whole thing about why, when he finally got paid, it was such a large sum that it was, a suspicious banking activity or fraud. And so the bank held it. Not only that, he was getting a job with Elon Musk as an astronaut. It's lie after lie. This is not a defendant that you can put up there because he's going to have to explain how he created this total fraud life and lied to his parents and mooched off them and did all this stuff and have to reconcile all that. And he's not going to be able to do it. And, that's the answer that the jury really wants. In addition to, who actually committed these murders, they want to know, why did he do all this? Why did he lie to his girlfriend? Why did he lie to his parents? Why these elaborate lies? And he doesn't have an answer for that. So I don't think he was ever going to get on the stand. So that's why the prosecution ultimately uses it.
Yeah, I don't know. You may be right. But then it kind of doesn't explain how the defense attorney is really asking no questions. You figure that there's going to be some defense put on, whether or not it's him or not. And my point is I'm trying to force him to the stand, even if he's inclined not to, but you may very well be right. Again, reasonable minds can differ. Great analysis, guys. We're going to take a quick break here on the Law and Crime Network. We'll be back with more. The jury should be coming back soon, so please stay with us.
BarkBox isn't just a monthly delivery of dog goodies, it's a passport to a whole new world with toys and treats from a different theme every single month. To start your dog's adventure, go to BarkBox.com.
First dates and the joy of finding out they're exactly who you hoped for. You've been verified to search the people you've matched with. You could find the info you need to let love do its thing. Been verified. No better.
We all have the strength to see what's possible. It's up to us to unlock it. Tonal, be your strongest.
My finances are very out of control.
Having a family and the finances, it's a tough balancing act.
You're sitting here at the end of the month looking at all the bills thinking there's got to be a better way.
Introducing the NetSpend Prepaid MasterCard. There's no credit check and no cost to order.
I dedicate my life to helping people achieve their potential and discover the tools to make that happen. That's why I'm excited to tell you about the NetSpend Prepaid MasterCard. This, my friends, is more than just a card. Use it anywhere debit MasterCard is accepted. You can use it to shop online, pay bills, buy gas. And get this, with NetSpend and direct deposit, you could get paid up to 2 days earlier. Just think about how much that could help.
My coworkers are always like, how do you have your check already? I'm like, that's because I use NetSpend.
Even better, you can earn cashback rewards on many of your purchases.
That money goes right back into my account, and I love it.
With NetSpend and direct deposit, your paycheck or benefits check loads into your card account. No more standing in check cashing lines or running to the bank or waiting by the mailbox. Each time you make a purchase, you get a text that shows the amount and your new balance. NetSpend's mobile app is so convenient and puts your money at your fingertips wherever you are. You can even send or receive money from friends and family right through the app.
With the app, it's very easy to transfer money to family and friends.
There's a $10 purchase cushion in case you come up a little short. With your NetSpend card, you got this.
I got this.
I got this.
With NetSpend, I got this.
Call now. There's no cost to order and no credit check to start. With NetSpend, you pay no interest fees, late fees, or activation fees because this is not a credit card. Don't miss out.
Order now. Be one of the first 200 callers and choose your card color. 1-800-614-9049. That's 1-800-614-9049. Get paid up to 2 days faster with NetSpend.
I'm in a work meeting right now, so I don't have time to shop for the perfect avocado. With Instacart, it's practically like I'm shopping myself.
Instacart. Shop like you without shopping. Visit instacart.com or download the app to get free delivery on your first order.
I'm Terry Austin, and you're watching Law and Crime.
Welcome back to For the Record. We are in Chandler Halderson. The jury's done with the break. They're in the courtroom. They're arguing outside the presence of the jury. Pursuant to the court order, we're not allowed to be in there covering that, only the trial itself. So it seems like they're about to begin the trial shortly. So it gives us an opportunity just to do a little bit more. One of the witnesses that the prosecution has called was Brett Halderson, which is the brother of the victim, Bart Halderson, who talks to us a little bit about what the defendant told him after the supposed quote-unquote disappearance of his parents. Let's take a listen.
What did you do next as Bart and Krista continued to be missing?
I know I had the opportunity to speak with sheriff's deputies and then later the investigators, and I guess afforded them any information I could, as well as gathering pictures for, lost people, a poster, getting anything that we could to help find them.
During this time period, are you in pretty frequent contact with Chandler?
I believe multiple times a day, yes.
Okay. Are you learning any more pieces to the story throughout your contact with Chandler?
As we spoke, and I guess was prodding for more and more information, he did reveal that there was health problems. I was aware of my brother having psoriasis and some arthritis related to that, but he did bring up the information that Krista had some type of cancer that he was recently made aware of, as well as, I believe, the small stroke. And with that, it opened up the possibility that they may have gone somewhere to receive treatment for that and maybe just hadn't been giving that information to the family because they wanted to keep that personal.
Okay. During the course of all these different discussions you're having with Chandler, at any point does he float the idea to you that perhaps they're out drinking somewhere?
I don't believe that ever came up, no.
Does he ever explain to you that they took a bunch of tools and a large amount of cash to the cabin?
I believe he mentioned the tools and the cash as far as going up to the cabin to do some repairs, yes.
Did he mention the possibility of a casino trip to you?
He did not mention anything about a casino, and I'm not familiar with my brother or Krista ever visiting casinos for entertainment.
Janine, what does it mean to you that the witness is testifying about that the defendant said that they brought tools and cash up to the cabin?
Well, this isn't the first witness to talk about this, right? Because he told everybody that they actually took about $4,000 out of the safe and he thought they may have gone to the casino. We had one of the best friends of his father, Bart, testify that if he had given him $100 to go to the casino, he would have given it back and said, we're not going, that he doesn't think he ever stepped foot in a casino. And so this is his son who keeps kind of putting this out there, and everybody's saying this is totally out of character. It's, again, lie after lie after lie. So from the beginning, it seems as though, Chandler's not telling the truth about the circumstances upon which, his parents left. He talks about this extreme amount of money that was gone. He talks about them having taken extra liquor. It's a lot of lies adding up. And why is he saying that? Why is he starting off with untruthful talking points right from the beginning when we don't even suspect him? And it adds to him seeming guilty.
Yeah, Andrew, I mean, again, is this just like pile on with the prosecutor, which is not a problem, one witness after another witness? Do you find anything specifically relevant about that pinpointed question about tools and cash to the cabin?
It's very relevant. Tools are, based on, the fact that we know that these bodies were dismembered. Something was used to dismember these bodies. And I think that's the implication, is the tools that were brought up to this cabin were what were eventually used, or at least contemplated to be used in the dismembership of this body. Now, cash implies to me that this individual had an intent to flee the area, to go somewhere. They're up in northern Wisconsin. Maybe he was going to go to Canada. Maybe he was going to go elsewhere. But all that kind of says to me is there was, thought here that they had to dispose of the body. That's why they needed tools. And there had to have been a thought for getting out of the situation, which was the cash.
Yeah, Janine, real quick, I got about 10 seconds or less. Do we expect the defense is going to give us some theory that he wasn't the murderer, but somebody else was?
Absolutely. They pretty much said it during opening that somebody else did it, and we're not going to know who. It's not him, and we're not going to know at the end of this.
Yeah, and as you indicated earlier, you don't think the defendant's going to take the stand. Of course, we can't forecast that until all the evidence is in by the prosecution. But it'll be really interesting how they're going to go about that, given that they haven't really cross-examined the witnesses extensively in the case so far. All right, we're going to take a break here at the Law and Crime Network. We will be back with more on the other end. Please stay with us.
I'm Dan Abrams, and you're watching Law and Crime.
My leg hair was coarse enough to braid, and this razor sailed right through it. I'm like a naked dolphin. Yes, I know. Dolphins are already naked.
With Bonfire, you can easily fundraise by selling custom shirts online. Upload your artwork or create a design right on our website. In these unique times, you can still make a difference. Fundraise with custom shirts today on bonfire.com.
Calibrate is a doctor-guided weight loss program that combines virtual doctor visits, FDA-approved medication, and one-on-one video coaching to reset your metabolic system. Get back in control of your weight and your health with Calibrate. Sign up today at joincalibrate.com.
I love Made In. I love what Made In represents. With the product, you could tell that there's extreme craftsmanship.
You would think a pan is a pan until Made In came along, and I went, wow, these things are something better.
I use Made In both at home and here at Craft in New York City. They're beautifully made and will help you take your cooking to the next level.
Those are the pans that we use at Alinea. We're going to have the best pans in the world at one of the best restaurants in the world.
This right here is confidence in a bottle. It just gives you such a boost of confidence.
Not only does it change you on the outside, but something in the inside, knowing that you're looking better.
It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt in my life.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Well, today we're going to see one for ourselves and let you be the judge. It's called Plexiderm, and lifestyle expert Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and you'll notice the model has bags underneath his eyes and some sagging, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face, and that's how easy it is.
All right, what's the active ingredient?
Okay, so it's silicates that are minerals found in shale rock, and what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes, and as little as 10 minutes, no prescriptions, and very little effort. Even watching the video, this is a real, it's a model, but it's a real guy with real bags underneath his eyes. And I did this to my father. We were at home. I had the timer on, and we were screaming. 4 minutes, 34 seconds, completely gone.
My real true opinion is wholly words I can't say on camera. These lines bother me. They really do. And this is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I could feel it just lifting my skin. It was amazing. It feels good. Feels great. Looks even better.
And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles. So it targets all those problem areas.
So this would be a daily thing, or?
It absolutely could be a daily thing, but the way you want to do it is you want to have a clean, dry face. You use a small amount because it's so powerful. You have high school reunions, you have events you want to go to, you want to look years younger, this is it.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work for yourself after your first application. Your solution is at plexidermtrial.com or call the number on your screen.
Here's to the magic of to have and to hold. Wedding planning with Zola brings that magic to life. So here's to sweating the small stuff less and dancing more. Here's to committing to each other, even when it's complicated, to falling down and getting back up, to going out again, but always coming back home. Here's to the million little moments that bring our lives together. Zola, a million wedding moments, one place to start.
You're busy. Too busy to get what you need. So you use Instacart. Just tell your shopper what you're looking for, and they'll bring it right to your door, fast. With same-day delivery and pickup. Instacart. Everything you need.
Welcome back to For the Record. Chandler Halderson case has resumed in court right now. It's Detective Sabrina Sims. She is back on the witness stand on direct examination, speaking about records she secured pursuant to a court order. Let's roll tape.
They are received.
And I'm, of course, not going to put these on the overhead because they're very small print, but I am going to ask on page 1207 or page 10 of the medical records, I'm going to ask that you just read this paragraph for the jury.
And which exhibit number
I'm sorry,
is
that is on 492.
Thank you.
Sure. On arrival, the patient presented as above and was promptly evaluated by this provider. VS, Victor Sam, were reviewed, which were reassuring. Exam notable for midline C2, C3 tenderness to palpation. Patient was promptly provided a cervical collar. Obtain CT, head and CT cervical spine, both of which were negative. Given the patient remains with midline cervical spine tenderness, palpation was placed in a PMT, Paul, Mary, Tom, collar. Patient likely suffered a mild concussion. We did discuss signs or symptoms that would warrant immediate return to the emergency department, for which patient verbalized understanding. Patient was provided concussion protocol for home, in addition to prescription for Zofran for nausea. Patient and patient's father were in agreement with treatment plan, was subsequently discharged home, stable condition with neurosurgical follow-up in 4 to 6 weeks for repeat evaluation of his cervical spine. All right. I have no further questions for this witness at this time.
Cross-examination.
Detective Sims, as far as a subpoena goes, that was directly to UW Hospital, correct?
Can I look at the document again? It was UW Health. There's just multiple hospitals, UW hospitals and clinics.
And let me ask a better question.
Sure.
No other subpoenas to any other hospitals in Madison were sent out, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any redirect?
No.
Detective, thank you. You may return to your seat.
Andrew, let me run to you on this one. I'm being advised that he would wear a neck brace on and off when speaking with some of the witnesses. What is the importance of this testimony? Why did the prosecutor call this witness back again?
I think they're trying to show as to his character that he had kind of almost like an instinct to lie. You know, he kind of had sort of a fraudulent way about him, and he kind of had a general issue with truth telling. You know, it kind of established this, you know, as it goes on with the way he talked to other people.
And what are your thoughts, Janine?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's another lie, because we also heard about, again, everybody who saw him, he didn't have this neck brace on. You know, he says he fell down the stairs. This was one of the reasons that he couldn't go to the cabin to go and look for his parents. It's lie after lie after lie. So again, it doesn't help him.
All right. Well, we have a new witness on the stand, so let's go live to court.
That's the court's preference.
That is the preference, and that would be wonderful. Thank you.
I'm also going to ask that you move that mic a little closer.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Could you please state both your first and last name and spell them for the record?
Absolutely. My name is Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, Lohmeier, L-O-H-M-E-I-E-R.
How are you employed?
I'm an emergency physician at the University of Wisconsin Hospital and Clinics.
Were you employed as such in June of 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're an ER physician, so you have a MD?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay. And I assume as an ER physician, you see lots of patients.
Yes, that's correct.
And I assume you do not remember all the details of every visit.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay. So I believe it might even still be up there. No. Are they at the table? Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. So, doctor, would it assist you to have a certified medical record of the visit with the patient we're going to discuss today in order to testify?
Yes, thank you.
And I'm also going to show you what has been marked as Exhibit 491. How would you identify Exhibit 491?
This looks like my CV, my curriculum vitae.
All right, and for people that aren't in the science or academia, is that a fancy way to say resume?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. And that includes all your training?
That's
including
correct.
Where you went to med school, other trainings you have participated in?
That's correct.
Okay. Move Exhibit 491 into evidence at this time.
Any objection?
No objection.
It is received.
So on June 17th of 2021, did you in fact see a patient named Chandler Halderson?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Do you have any independent, before you look at the certified medical record, do you have any independent recollection of that visit?
Prior to being contacted by the subpoena, I did not have any recollection of the visit, no.
Okay. So feel free to review and to look at the certified medical record. I think it's helpful for the court just to know if you're looking at the record when you are.
Sure.
So do you know about what time of day you saw Mr. Halderson on June 17th?
I believe it was around noon.
Okay. And what symptoms did he report, or where did he report to?
I don't think I understand. Where did he report?
I'm sorry. You work for the UW system. There's more than one UW hospital in
Yes, ma'am.
Madison, right?
Yes. That day I was working out at the emergency department at the UW hospital at the American Center, also known as TAC.
Okay, and that's way out on the east side.
East side, correct.
And did Mr. Halderson present there in the ER?
Yes, that's correct. He self-presented.
Okay, and had you met him before this day?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. What symptoms did he present with?
I believe he was complaining of some pain to his head and his right ribs after a reported fall down some stairs.
So what did you do in your treatment?
In the emergency department, we have an attending physician who's responsible for all patients that present to the ED. We also have a team of physician assistants who we work with. At that time, my physician assistant went and evaluated the patient first. He came up with a treatment plan. We discussed it. I evaluated the patient afterwards and agreed on the plan, and then got some imaging.
Okay. What imaging did you get?
We got a CT scan, a CAT scan of his head and his C-spine, his cervical spine.
And what, if anything, did that imaging reveal?
Those images were reported as being negative without abnormality.
Did you perform any other tests?
So he had a physical exam during which the PA and I both did an abbreviated physical exam looking for any signs of injury. We did discuss with the patient a potential x-ray of his ribs because he was having some right-sided chest tenderness. At that time, the patient declined the additional imaging, and I think at about that time we closed the encounter.
Did you run any other sort of tests, such as blood tests or anything like that?
I would need to refer back. I don't recall.
Yeah, and I didn't mean that as a trick question in any way.
Yes, ma'am. This looks different than the one we usually have. Typically, we will get some screening blood work on patients as well. I don't have that information in the front of my mind. I'll have to review here quickly.
Well, actually, let me just ask perhaps a more precise question. When somebody comes in and self-reports a fall, maybe has some bruising, is there any test that you can do to determine, yes, they have a concussion?
No, ma'am. Unfortunately, a concussion is a clinical diagnosis. It's usually a rule out by testing for other conditions such as skull fractures, bleeding around the brain, things of that nature. When we don't find those, there's not really a good blood test or an imaging test that definitively diagnoses a concussion.
So if I showed up in your ER today and told you, I fell, my head hurts, I hit my head, would I be diagnosed with a concussion?
A head injury alone is typically not enough to get a diagnosis of concussion. Usually there are some symptoms that go along with it. I have photophobia, so bright lights bother me, loud noises bother me. Looking at a computer screen or a television is difficult. Sometimes people will complain of difficulty concentrating, nausea, some of those symptoms. So generally, it is the combination of a head strike with some other clinical symptoms or complaints that will give a diagnosis of a concussion.
And those symptoms, again, are self-report symptoms.
That's correct.
They're not symptoms that you can actually look at cells or look at imaging and say, yep, you have nausea.
That's correct.
And what was after you did the imaging, what was sort of the take-home plan or continued care plan for Mr. Halderson?
The take-home plan was conservative management. So we generally have patients with mild to moderate concussions managed with Tylenol, ibuprofen, over-the-counter meds. Occasionally, we'll give a prescription for an antiemetic or an anti-nausea medication so that they can drink plenty of fluids and stay well hydrated. I believe for this case, the patient had some residual neck pain, so he was given a collar to go home with for support with instruction to follow up with his primary care physician and with the spine team that was on call.
Is it unusual for you to hand out a neck brace or a neck collar with somebody who says, hey, my neck is hurting?
No, ma'am. It is not unusual at all.
Okay. And you said diagnosis of a mild or moderate concussion. What, in this case, did you diagnose Mr. Halderson with?
I believe he was diagnosed as having a mild concussion, and I believe in the notes it reported him as having just a CHI, a closed head injury, so a nonspecific diagnosis.
Did you, in his presentation to you, did he state whether or not he had taken anything for the pain he was experiencing?
I do not recall that information off the top of my head. I would have to review the notes.
Do you mind reviewing the notes?
Sure. So I do not have that information in my addendum at the bottom. He may have reported that information to either the nurse or the PA who saw him, but I did not personally take any of that information.
Okay, thank you. And you said you had provided a neck collar. What instructions, if any, did you give him concerning that neck collar?
Yes, ma'am. So when we have someone with persistent pain but negative imaging, they go home with what's called a PMT collar. It's a soft collar that gives support to the head and the neck. And in general, they're instructed to follow up with their primary care physician and a spine physician if they're continuing to have pain or symptoms, generally in the 4 to 6 week period. I will say that many times patients have improvement of their symptoms before, so they'll self-remove their collars and they may or may not present later for follow-up.
At any point, did you give Mr. Halderson directions that he had to wear it for a certain amount of time?
I did not specifically give him that information, no.
Okay. At any point in time during your visit with Mr. Halderson, did you tell him he was going to experience paralysis?
No, ma'am.
At any point during your time with Mr. Halderson, did you tell him that he had a brain bleed?
No, ma'am.
At any point during your appointment with Mr. Halderson, did you at any point tell him that he had a brain aneurysm?
No, ma'am.
At any point, did you tell him that he had nerve damage?
I don't believe so, no, ma'am.
At any point, did you tell him he had a spinal injury?
No, I don't believe so.
At any point, did you advise him that he should not fly in an airplane?
No, ma'am.
At any point, did you tell him that he should not drive?
I don't believe so, no.
At any point, did you ever say that he shouldn't drive long distances?
No, ma'am.
At any point, did you tell him that he had a hematoma in his brain?
No, ma'am, I did not.
At any point, did you tell him that he would have an inability to use his legs in a normal manner?
No, ma'am.
At any point, did you tell him because of his mild concussion that he was going to have a colostomy bag?
No, ma'am.
And just to be clear, that's a bag for poop.
That's correct.
At any point in time, did you have to drill a hole into his head?
No, ma'am.
At any point in time, did you tell him that he was going to have surgery where a hole would be drilled in his head?
No, ma'am.
No further questions.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Good afternoon, doctor.
Hello.
I don't have a lapel mic, so I'm just going to stay seated, if that's okay with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you did diagnose Chandler Halderson with a mild concussion, right?
That's correct.
And you can diagnose someone with a concussion even though the imaging didn't show any abnormalities, correct?
That's correct.
When you diagnose someone with a concussion close in time to when the injury or the hit to the brain happens, symptoms can either improve or get worse after that moment in time, correct?
That's correct.
So when they leave the ER, sometimes people get better, sometimes people experience ongoing or more symptoms, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And when Mr. Halderson was leaving the ER, he was given a sheet of instructions of things to watch for, correct?
I believe so, yes.
On that sheet would have been things such as blurred vision, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Increasing pain in the head, increasing headaches, correct?
Yes.
Weakness in his extremities, correct?
Yes.
And you wouldn't know whether these things actually happened or not unless the patient reports back to you, correct?
That is correct.
But he would be told to be on alert.
All right, brutal testimony by this doctor, destroying the credibility of the defendant in the case. Obviously, the reason the prosecution put this witness on the stand, very effective. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Holiday party season is finally here. Now, what to wear? JustFab's VIP membership makes it easier than ever to turn heads at every party with a huge selection of festive boots, booties, heels, and more with on-trend details that always feel elevated and chic. And of course, every pair is so comfortable. The best part, you get 2 pairs of great shoes from just $29.95 when you join today. Own your holiday parties this year. Sign up now at justfab.com.
Without personal capital, there's absolutely no way we would have had the financial confidence to live the life that we're living. Both the tools and our personal capital advisor give us the comfort to not have anxiety about our retirement.
I never imagined this dream would come true. Working with our advisor at Personal Capital, we were able to make that leap.
Take control of your retirement. Download our free tools, then talk to an advisor. Start today at personalcapital.com.
You can either spin the wheel and win a delicious meal with an affordable price tag, or you can pay $100 for this drawing of dinner.
I'm gonna need a second to think about it.
Okay, well, while he's figuring that out, Emily, what's it gonna be?
The wheel.
Emily, you've won a delicious, simple, and satisfying dinner with every plate. Get your first box for $179 a meal using offer code TV179.
A band of brothers, reunited after 30 long years. You've been verified to search for the ones you miss. You might just find what you've been missing all along. Been verified. Know better.
Welcome to Law and Crime. Thanks for joining us here on our continued live coverage of the Derek Chauvin trial.
You don't get in the car. Mama.
The trial of Robert Durst.
I am not trying to figure out anything.
The Kyle Rittenhouse trial.
I never wanted to shoot Mr. Rose in the mouth.
I didn't want to hurt anybody.
I'm Dan Abrams.
I'm Terry Austin.
I'm Brian Buckmeyer. I'm Brian Ross.
I'm Jesse Weber.
And you're watching
Law and Crime.
I've been having stomach troubles. It's either yogurt, pork, or citrus. Or almonds. Or maybe it's cinnamon. Now, I could start by removing a lot of things from my diet and adding them back in one at a time until I find the culprit. Or I could find out what might actually be bothering me before removing and adding foods back in again. I'm gonna do that.
Do you have a box of videotapes, film reels, or photos that are degrading?
Legacy Box professionally converts them to DVDs, thumb drive, or the cloud.
Legacy Box is simple and safe, with over 500,000 satisfied customers.
Visit legacybox.com today.
I'm Sean Stix Larkin, and you're watching Law and Crime.
Okay, the emergency room physician that treated the defendant in June for a fall that he had occurred was cross-examined by the defense, who brought out the fact that there was no set time for him to wear or not wear the collar. Typically speaking, it'd be between 4 and 6 weeks. We are on redirect by the prosecutor. Let's go live.
Get into trying to second guess them, it gets to be, my job gets too complicated. So when patients present symptoms, I generally take them, unless I have something to prove or disprove, I take them at their word.
Sure, but my question is not how you interpret the information. As far as scientifically or medically accurate, is it only valuable in as much as it is true?
Yes, I assume that it's true, and that's how it's medically relevant.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
May the doctor be excused and released?
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you.
You're excused from your subpoena and released from the same.
Okay.
Good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The state calls Catherine Mellinger.
Oh, I'll take those. Thank you.
Hey. Andrew, let's toss to you real quick. I mean, basically, the prosecutor brought out, the jury heard it loud and clear that this was not medically accurate what he was saying to people. Really took a massive nick into the defendant's credibility. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's brutal. I mean, here they have the defendant's own words, basically misrepresenting what had happened to him, misrepresenting what he was told. And it really strikes me, and I think rings true to the jury, that this was part of the cover-up, that, he exaggerated this injury to have some sort of subtext or some pretext about why he couldn't have been involved in this incident.
Yeah, and Janine, this goes back to your point that you've been making over and over again, but this is a different kind of witness, being a medical doctor. I thought the prosecutor did an amazing job at asking question after question after question, one after another, each one putting a sword in the credibility of the defendant. Thoughts? I think you may be on mute.
She said, I'm not.
Got you. We got you.
Okay, can you hear me? All right, so I think she did it in a great way. She just did, at any time did you say this? At any time did you say this? At any time did you say this? She just drilled it home. I mean, the defense comes up there on cross and they try to do what they can with it. And they say, did you say that he had to wear the neck brace? Because we have heard from a bunch of different witnesses that he wasn't wearing his neck brace. And so this kind of helps with the idea that he didn't have to. But boy, did the prosecution do a good job of really kind of, drilling it home. Did he have an aneurysm? Did he have a brain bleed? really, really did a great job, really, really calls into question his credibility, really kind of goes into what the prosecution talks about during opening about, he's a giant liar and he did have the capacity to do this. Like, it's part of his character. He is not the normal nerdy kid that the defense wanted us to believe he is. So I think that she did a great job.
All right. Yeah, I agree completely. Listen, I'd call this quote unquote breaking news. We have the defendant's girlfriend on the witness stand live in court. Going to be good. Let's go to it.
He's over there with a blue tie and a blazer.
I'd ask the record to reflect the identification of the defendant.
It shall, thank you.
When did you first begin your relationship with Chandler?
In August 2019.
And how did you meet?
We met through a friend.
What was Chandler, what was going on in his life when you first met? What was he doing with his life?
He was attending college. He was living at home and preparing to move into an apartment. Dog sitting quite often.
And where were you in life? What were you up to when you first met back in 2019?
When I first met Chandler, I was going to school as well, part of Student Senate, doing shows in the theater department.
What types of things did you and Chandler do in your relationship? Did you go on a lot of dates together?
Yeah, we would grab dinners, have movie dates, just sit at home and watch movies, go on walks quite often, play with the dogs. That was a big thing. We loved playing Frisbee with the dogs. Start shows together.
Sure. Around 2019 and 2020, and then obviously into this year a little bit, or into last year, 2021, how would you and Chandler communicate with each other? Just by calling each other, or were there other things too?
We would talk on Snapchat, text, FaceTime, and call quite often.
Would you also, so it's text, Snapchat, call, FaceTime?
Mm-hmm.
Would sometimes you start communicating about a subject on one and then switch to another and then switch back?
Yes.
Fair to say you communicated or you texted a lot with Chandler?
Yes.
And you've seen in this case, probably at some point, printouts of even just a couple of days of your text messages, which are hundreds of pages long, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any sort of relationship with Chandler's family?
Yes.
Let's start with his brother, Mitchell. Did you know Mitchell?
I did know Mitchell.
Tell me about your relationship with Mitchell.
I would hang out with him at the family events, be it like a dinner or for the holidays. We had a game night at his home once with Caitlin and Chandler and myself. Usually see him during family events.
What about, let's start with Bart. Did you have a relationship, or how did you know Bart Halderson?
I knew Mr. Halderson through Chandler. I would be at their home quite often, and he would show me fishing tips, or if I was cooking, him and Mrs. Halderson would be in the kitchen, and we would have game nights quite often.
You know what? Let's take a real quick break right now so we can get to the meat of her testimony. So we're going to be back on the other end. Please stay with us.
Hey you! Ever wanted to learn a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or time-consuming? What about French, Spanish, even Norwegian? If so, it's time to try Babbel. Babbel lets you customize how and when you learn. From quick 10-minute lessons on words, phrases, and grammar, to games that keep it exciting. Listen to a podcast on the go, or take a live online class with a real teacher. It's really up to you. Babbel's conversation-based technique was created by experts. They know a thing or two about what works. In no time, chatting about real-life topics will feel, well, effortless. So go ahead, see where Babbel takes you. More ways to explore, more ways to learn. Start learning today at babbel.com.
It wasn't Meta's fault that yo-yo dieting failed her. Calibrate works with her biology to end an unsustainable cycle. Medication, coaching, lifestyle tweaks. Lose at least 10% of your body weight or your money back. Join Calibrate.com.
I sold my diamond ring with Worthy.com. Their team of experts helped me understand its value.
Then they held an auction for their exclusive network of buyers.
So I got way more than the jeweler offered.
Sell your diamond jewelry for more with Worthy.com.
This right here is confidence in a bottle. It just gives you such a boost of confidence.
Not only does it change you on the outside, but something in the inside, knowing that you're looking better.
It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt in my life.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Well, today we're going to see one for ourselves and let you be the judge. It's called Plexiderm, and lifestyle expert Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and you'll notice the model has bags underneath his eyes and some sagging, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face, and that's how easy it is.
All right, what's the active ingredient?
Okay, so it's silicates that are minerals found in shale rock, and what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes in as little as 10 minutes, no prescriptions, and very little effort. Even watching the video, this is a real, it's a model, but it's a real guy with real bags underneath his eyes. And I did this to my father. We were at home. I had the timer on, and we were screaming. 4 minutes, 34 seconds, completely gone.
My real true opinion is wholly words I can't say on camera. These lines bother me. They really do. And this is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I could feel it just lifting my skin. It was amazing. It feels good. Feels great. Looks even better.
And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles. So it targets all those problem areas.
So this would be a daily thing, or
it absolutely could be a daily thing. But the way you want to do it is you want to have a clean, dry face. You use a small amount because it's so powerful. You have high school reunions, you have events you want to go to, you want to look years younger. This is it.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work for yourself after your first application. Your solution is at plexidermtrial.com or call the number on your screen.
When you've got a health concern, there's searching the internet, and there's science. There's surprise bills, and there's knowing what you're gonna pay. There's a lab test on your own schedule from home. There's physician-reviewed results you can understand. There's a plan. There's taking control of your health. Everlywell.
I'm Jesse Weber, and you're watching Law and Crime.
All right, going to be fascinating testimony. The defendant's girlfriend is on the stand, indicating that she liked Mr. and Mrs. Halderson very much, a lot. You know, keep in mind that the torso of Mr. Halderson was found on her mother's property. Prosecutors are asking questions right now about the basement and 2 freezers, her indicating she's been down there and those freezers were packed. Now the prosecutor's showing her pictures that were taken as part of the crime scene photos. Let's go live to court.
Yes.
Was it important to you that whoever you were dating have a job or be going to school or something?
Yes.
Can you tell me why that would be important?
Just think being self-sufficient. Okay. It's either in school or working.
As far as you knew, in 2020 and this year even, 2021, let's say the spring of last year, was Chandler going to school?
Yes.
Did he talk about that with you?
Yes.
What did you know about where Chandler was going to school and what he was doing?
He was taking classes online through MITC for UW, and it was for an IT degree.
Would Chandler talk a lot about school with you?
Often.
What kind of things would you talk about?
When we'd have tests or homework that we were doing.
Going into in this year, did he ever show you any sort of like work he was doing for school, any projects, things like that?
He showed me some coding he was doing once.
For a class? You said he was going online. Did Chandler ever physically go there as far as you knew? For a class?
I don't remember.
This spring, going into the summer, prior to everything happening, did you believe Chandler was going to MATC?
Yes.
Did you ever see his grades? Did he ever share his grades with you or transcripts or anything like that?
No, he didn't show me.
Do you know how close he was to graduating?
One class away, I believed.
Did you and Chandler ever talk about him working with the police at all, with scuba diving or anything like that?
With the DNR.
Sure. Tell me about that.
He told me he would scuba dive for the DNR and then sometimes help out the police through the DNR.
Did he say what he would do for them, like specifically?
Scuba diving, look in the lakes for stuff.
Was this like a job or a volunteer thing? What was your understanding from Chandler?
I believe it was a job.
And did he have this throughout the time you were dating?
During the summer.
Were there ever times where Chandler would go to that job, as far as you knew, or need to schedule time to be there?
Yes.
How would that come up?
He would just tell me he had to be on call days and we couldn't hang out those days, or he would only have select time to hang out or else he'd be on call.
So there'd be times you couldn't hang out because he would say he was on call?
Mm-hmm.
How often would that come up in your relationship?
I don't remember.
Okay. But it came up?
It did.
Okay. Did you ever see Chandler with any sort of scuba diving equipment, oxygen tanks, those flippers that people put on, anything like that?
No.
Did you believe he worked at this dive team job back at that time?
Yes.
At some points in the past year and a half or so, did Chandler get a job with American Family Insurance?
Yes.
And what did Chandler tell you about that, or what did you know about what he was doing?
That it was an internship to help graduate through school, and he'd be doing stuff with solar panels and laying up plans for companies, going through American Family and such.
Okay. So it was an internship. Was it eventually a job or something else, like where you got paid?
A paid internship, I believe.
Okay. Did he ever show you any of his work that he was working on?
He showed me a plan on a whiteboard that he was drawing up.
When you say a whiteboard, what do you mean by that?
Like a whiteboard that you hang up in your home or see in school.
Okay. And what was on that whiteboard that he was showing you, if you remember?
A building and where they wanted to place the solar panels and how it was by a highway, so it would be a safety hazard for the direction they want to point it in because of the angle of the sun could be blinding the drivers.
Okay. Did you seem excited about this project when he was talking to you about it?
Yes.
Okay. Did Chandler have any issues with pay at American Family Insurance and getting his paychecks?
Yes.
Tell me what you know about that from Chandler.
That there was something going on with who American Family would go through for payment, that the check went to the wrong address, and then it had to be canceled, and then he tried setting up for direct deposit, and something happened with that, and then the amount that they had to pay him was too much, so they didn't believe they owed someone that amount of money, and then it just wasn't getting to him.
Because of this issue or maybe others, were there times in your relationship where it didn't seem like Chandler had a lot of money?
Yes.
When you all went out to get food or something along those lines, would it be more common for you to pay or for him to pay, or how would that work?
For me to pay.
Yeah. Sure. 1 second. I'll tell you before. Yeah. You might not have some specific dates, and that's totally okay, but do you know approximately kind of the time period Chandler was working at American Family Insurance?
Believe January until the spring.
Okay. Kind of the same question as before with MATC when I asked you about transcripts.
Obviously, the defendant's girlfriend on the witness stand. A very, very difficult situation. You could tell very emotional, really trying to hold it together as far as I can see. We're going to take a quick break here on the Law and Crime Network. We'll be back on the other end with this incredible testimony. Stay with us.
Built to chew. Bite into our monthly box filled with tough toys and delicious treats designed by our canine specialists to keep your dog engaged and satisfied. Let's chew it. Get free shipping today at superchewer.com.
It's okay to be curious. Curious about that person you met online. Is this someone I actually want to meet? I've swiped right. What's next? Come to Been Verified to help find love that's real. Been Verified. Be curious.
No one can deliver your mom's homemade short ribs. That's why Instacart helps deliver the ingredients, and you add the love. Visit instacart.com or download the app to get free delivery on your first order.
When it comes to your wedding, embrace the possibilities. That's what we believe at Zola. Let's celebrate the moments that brought you here, and the many more to come. There's no right way to get married. Just the way that's right for you. It's your wedding. We'll help you get there. A million wedding ideas, one place to start. Zola.
There is no way to ignore it. You hear it on the news, online, from your friends and family. What happened to my money? Whether it got hit by falling stocks and bonds, with the coronavirus, shrunk by a floundering 401k with low interest rates, and is riding the extreme ups and downs of the stock market with political elections. Many Americans are worried about their money and how they're going to retire. Help protect your financial future now and call J.D. Melberg for your complimentary book from a leading financial firm that shows you ways not to run out of money whether the market goes up or down. This free book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms that can protect your money for a lifetime. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report summarizing the rates and benefits of annuities from hundreds of top-rated insurers, helping you to find ways to get up to 33% more income in retirement. That's right. 2 books, both absolutely free, for calling J.D. Melberg. Help protect your financial future.
Call 800-722-9185. That's 800-722-9185. Call now.
Every plate helps save you time and money on meals you'll love.
We have a high-pressure system moving in from the east,
so you can seize the day. Oh, no. Even if it's not ready to be seized. Live your best life with America's best value meal kit and get your first box for only $1.99 a meal. Plus, 20% off another 2 boxes using offer code EPTV199.
With medication, coaching, and lifestyle tweaks, Calibrate is changing the way the world treats weight.
I'm Brian Ross, and you're watching Law and Crime.
All right, they were just at sidebar, but they are back live in court with the defendant's girlfriend on the witness stand. Let's go live.
Redacted some things. We redacted, you've seen this type of exhibit before, correct?
Correct.
And we've redacted your phone number out of this, have we not?
Yes.
Okay. Chandler's saved in your phone as kind of a name. What is that name?
Hubby.
And that's just something you would call him?
Yes.
Okay. But are these messages with Chandler and you, looks like back in May of this year?
Yes.
Okay. And what is the first one that Chandler says?
I have a good feeling about SpaceX.
Okay. I'll move 506 into evidence.
Any objection?
Subject to what was said on the record, no.
It is received.
Come on that screen, okay? So we're going to talk about some of them. Just real quick, because it's the first one that we're going to do that looks like this. Your phone was taken by the police and downloaded in the course of this investigation, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we're going to try to get the lighting just right, and that might be the trick right there. So in the blue here, that's Chandler, correct?
Correct.
I have a good feeling about SpaceX, and if we're looking at it, the date on these messages is down there. It's also right there, but this one I'll read out loud just because it's a bit hard to see. We're at the 23rd of May of 2020. You say, I'm proud of you. What does Chandler say there?
Thanks, I hope I get a job.
And you say, me too. In general, were you hoping Chandler got this job?
Yes.
Why?
He seemed excited about it. A lot of pay.
A lot of pay? Did Chandler ever tell you how much money he'd be making at SpaceX?
Around 800,000.
800,000?
Sorry, I apologize, 80,000.
80,000, okay. So after you say me too, we're still on the 23rd, he says, I'll be happy. And you respond, I'll be very happy for you too. You'll get the money you want, the job you want, right? You were happy for him.
Correct.
You talked a little bit, and we're going to flip through some of these that maybe aren't super relevant. As we talked about, you texted a lot. But you're talking about the location and the money, and Chandler says, can you read that one for us?
But I'll be happy with money.
And you say maybe they'll transfer you in a couple years. Was there any discussion about that around that time?
Yes.
And what was that discussion about? Maybe transferring or where this job was?
The job was in Florida.
Okay. And that would take you to Florida as well?
Correct.
Okay. Was it your intention to move with Chandler?
Yes.
And on May 24th, he sends you this message. What does it say?
I have a follow-up interview for Florida tomorrow.
And as that kind of approached, on the 25th now of May, you're saying, tell me, kind of in an exaggerated fashion, but just tell me what's going on?
Yes.
And what does Chandler say?
Shoot, sorry, I got the job.
And you say, congratulations. You have a discussion about the job in general, and eventually Chandler, on the same day, the 25th, what does he say to you?
I have training next week over the computer, and I leave June 11th and start on June 14th.
You and Chandler discuss, perhaps, I think you said that you were going to move with him eventually, right?
Correct.
Was it going to be right away, or were you going to wait a couple weeks?
Wait a couple weeks.
Okay. And what does Chandler text you on the 25th?
I'll come back every other weekend, hon.
And what else?
And I can send you money till your lease is up and you move in with me.
The text messages that day end with Chandler sending you a couple messages. Can you read the first one?
If you're positive you want to be with me for the long run.
Was that in relation to you moving with him?
Yes.
And he says, what last?
Because if you're not, then I don't think you should.
Did the topic of you and Chandler moving to Florida, was that like something you talked about a lot?
Yes.
Were you excited about that?
Yes.
Did you tell your family?
Yes.
Did you tell your friends?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked in this case. Exhibit number 507. Can you tell me what that is?
A screenshot of the SpaceX location in Florida.
And was this taken off your phone?
Yes.
Why'd you take that screenshot?
I was curious about the location of the company.
Okay. What's exhibit number 508?
A screenshot from Zillow of homes in Titusville, Florida.
Okay. And it's a screenshot, but there's something else in that screenshot in the top right corner. What is that?
Chandler.
How does this happen? This is on your phone, you're taking a screenshot?
Yes.
Are you FaceTiming at this time?
Yes.
And are you looking up, what are you looking up there?
Homes for sale.
In Titusville, Florida?
Yes.
I'll show you, it's been marked as exhibit 509. What's that?
A pool.
And was this another one of the homes you were looking up?
Yes.
When you took these screenshots, when you were FaceTiming with your boyfriend at the time, did you believe that you were possibly going to be moving to Florida and maybe buying a home or renting an apartment, things of that sort?
Yes.
Fair to say these homes you were looking up weren't cheap either?
No.
Did you think you'd be having some money available to you?
Yes.
All right, I'll move 507, 508, 509 into evidence.
Any objection?
No.
They are received. They may be published.
Just briefly, this is exhibit number 507. I just showed you. This is what we were talking about when we said that you took a screenshot of just where SpaceX was?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know prior to Chandler talking about it that they had a location in Florida?
No.
Okay. Exhibit number 508. We're looking at a $699,000 home in Florida. And you're kind of on the phone with Chandler. And is this what a FaceTime looks like when you're kind of browsing other apps while you're on FaceTime?
Yes.
And so is that Chandler in the top right?
Yes.
Were you talking to him about this at the time?
Yes.
Okay. Now showing you exhibit 509. Here we're looking at a pool of another home. Is that Chandler in the top right?
Yes.
And same thing, you were talking to him about moving to Florida?
Yes.
What kind of conversations did you personally have? Not what other people said, but what were you telling your family, your mom, your brother about the plan?
Chandler would move down to Florida and start working. I would go at the end of August after my lease ended. And I celebrated my birthday in Madison. And Titusville isn't too far from where Disneyland is, and I was looking at pharmacy schools in Florida as well.
Did you talk to your friends about this plan?
Yes.
Was there any discussion of transportation or cars or things like that once you got down to Florida?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Chandler had a car lined up for when he got down there already, and I was going to drive my car down.
Did you ever invite your friends that were close to you and say, like, hey, you can come down and visit when we're down there?
Yes.
What kind of things did you talk to them about doing?
Going to Disneyland, Universal Studios, going fishing.
I think we saw in one of those prior texts that the SpaceX job was supposed to begin mid-June. Was that your understanding of the timing?
Yes.
Around the time it was supposed to start, did something happen that caused a delay?
Yes.
What happened?
Mitch went to the hospital.
Chandler's brother?
Mm-hmm.
And he's testified and told everyone kind of about it. But in general, what was your understanding of what was going on?
His sugar levels were very high, and he had to be there for a couple days.
What did Chandler, did he tell you anything about whether that was going to delay SpaceX, or what the relationship between those two things are, Mitchell's illness and SpaceX?
He didn't want to leave while Mitch was ill.
Mitch was in the hospital for a couple days?
Yes.
At that point, did Chandler tell you, or did you know of any time he was supposed to now start SpaceX?
I don't remember.
Okay. Was it delayed?
Yes.
After Mitchell's hospitalization, did anything else happen that caused a delay in SpaceX?
I ended up going to the urgent care as well, and then Chandler fell.
Okay. Chandler was in the hospital?
Yes.
Okay. What did you know about Chandler falling?
Okay, so the defendant's girlfriend is on the witness stand providing direct examination testimony. This is going to be crucial testimony for the prosecution, which so far has done a great job. Janine, Andrew, thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. Antoinette Levy picking up the coverage. Have a great rest of the week.
I'm Brian Buckmeyer, and you're watching Law and Crime.
My leg hair was coarse enough to braid, and this razor sailed right through it. I'm like a naked dolphin. Yes, I know. Dolphins are already naked.
With Bonfire, you can easily fundraise by selling custom shirts online. Upload your artwork or create a design right on our website. In these unique times, you can still make a difference. Fundraise with custom shirts today on bonfire.com.
I love Made In. I love what Made In represents. With the product, you could tell that there's extreme craftsmanship.
You would think a pan is a pan until Made In came along, and I went, wow, these things are something better.
I use Made In both at home and here at Craft in New York City. They're beautifully made and will help you take your cooking to the next level.
Those are the pans that we use at Alinea. We're going to have the best pans in the world at one of the best restaurants in the world.
This right here is confidence in a bottle. It just gives you such a boost of confidence.
Not only does it change you on the outside, but something in the inside, knowing that you're looking better.
It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt in my life.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Well, today we're going to see one for ourselves and let you be the judge. It's called Plexiderm, and lifestyle expert Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and you'll notice the model has bags underneath his eyes and some sagging, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face, and that's how easy it is.
All right, what's the active ingredient?
Okay, so it's silicates that are minerals found in shale rock, and what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes, and as little as 10 minutes, no prescriptions, and very little effort. Even watching the video, this is a real, it's a model, but it's a real guy with real bags underneath his eyes. And I did this to my father. We were at home. I had the timer on, and we were screaming. 4 minutes, 34 seconds, completely gone.
My real true opinion is holy words I can't say on camera. These lines bother me. They really do. And this is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I could feel it just lifting my skin. It was amazing. It feels good. Feels great. Looks even better.
And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles. So it targets all those problem areas.
So this would be a daily thing, or?
It absolutely could be a daily thing, but the way you want to do it is you want to have a clean, dry face. You use a small amount because it's so powerful. You have high school reunions, you have events you want to go to, you want to look years younger, this is it.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work for yourself after your first application. Your solution is at plexidermtrial.com or call the number on your screen.
Are you waking up in the morning with a sore jaw, headaches, maybe even ringing in your ears, all because you're grinding and clenching your teeth at night? That's exactly what was going on with me. I end up going to a dentist and he wants to charge over $600 for a night guard. That's when I found this, the Brooks night guard. This was a game changer. It's smaller than other night guards that I tried, which is a good thing because it doesn't make me gag. It could fit on the top or the bottom of the teeth. It's lightweight and super comfortable. Other mouth guards go all the way to the back. This allows the back teeth to continue to touch. Now this is where most of the grinding and clenching occurs. Now the Brooks night guard redirects the bite force away from the back teeth, reducing jaw pain while still protecting the teeth. This unique design is what makes Brooks Night Guard different from all other traditional grind guards. Go to brooksnightguard.com and order yours today. Your teeth will thank you for it in the morning.
Go to brooksnightguard.com and use promo code BROOKS33.